and gentlemen, welcome to the Battlerite Asia tournament number 6. My name is TJ, joined today by Dominic Cast. We have a stacked roster of teams coming through today. I think the splash screen said the best teams in Asia.
I think the splash screen certainly said that, and as much as that is true, we also have the brackets up here, and we do see that right now we're going to be seeing Stalkers Nude versus You Fools, and as part of the round of 16, as we start off this Battlerite Asia number 6 tournament. And my goodness, these tournaments have been extremely exciting going forward, or going back rather, and I think going forward they will continue to be quite exciting. Stalkers Nude and You Fools, about seed 7, seed 10, so it should be a fairly even match between two fairly evenly matched teams.
And that is the blessing of starting in the middle of the bracket. We have all the teams in the lobby right now. You Fools, we're just waiting on them to ready up. And when they do, we can get into the game. I think we're waiting on the hero picks, is that right?
It would appear that is exactly what we're waiting on, though I may have been something mistaken as the exact way it's done. My guess is that it is, unfortunately, we have been given all the rules for this stuff. So the best I can find is that it is the standard pick, one just back and forth. We have a Shifu coming up for Stalkers Nude. Shifu
opposing them, Lucy. Lucy, not a character we see a lot of, and a big part of the reason why we haven't seen a lot of Lucy is because of Rushdown, because of characters like Shifu.
Shifu is very good at that. They're sticky as hell, and they get in. And Rook, speaking of Rushdown, we talk about Rushdown, we have Shifu and Rook together. This entire Stalkers Nude lineup right now is clearly set up to try to get in there and do as much damage as possible. The Esmo coming on the other side for You Fools. Esmo, Lucy, if that's not a kitey team, there is no kitey team in Battlerite.
Esmo is going to want to get in there, dive in, spend the displaces for an engage, and then back off. Because Esmo's a tricky character. They seem like they have a lot of mobility. They have one mobility ability called Displace, and they can spend it twice in quick succession. So Lucy isn't a bad choice because the Esmo can commit, find damage, back off, get healed, and then recommit.
And that's what we're going to see here. We have the Croak being the last pick. Oh my goodness, this is You Fools. They are going to be the sneakiest, kitiest team. I'm actually a little bit concerned for them, given they are against Shifu, Rook, Ulrich. And Shifu, Rook, Ulrich, we're gonna see Stalkers Nude just rushing forward, trying to do as much as they can to get into any one player that gets out in the open on You Fools and wreck them. Just completely destroy them as best they can. That's the entire game plan here going forward.
They have nothing to hold a front line. None of the characters they have will stand for a second against a 3-man melee rushdown. They just need to kite. They just need to run away. We were talking in the pregame about the saying, I've got my running shoes on. They better have some fresh kicks.
They really had better, because the only hope they really have I can see is that Lucy needs to get their ultimate. That's the big thing. When Lucy gets their ultimate, they get to kill anybody. Their crippling goo drops down, gets the slow, it gets like 80 damage usually, and with this setup, yeah, there are escapes. The Shiva can get out of there, but the Rook, not really, unless they have their rush. That Rook has nowhere to go. And the Ulrich, same thing. If they don't have their intervene, that Ulrich is going to be stuck in the goo, taking loads of damage. So that to me is the game plan. And in the meantime, we're going to see Hokugan just set up the stuns.
Stuns, disables, slows, all of those are important here. You need the panics, you need the stuns from the Croak Deceit, the silence maybe from Chaos Grip, because you need to constantly be taking one or two members of the Rushdown out of play. You Fools, if they win here, they win because they managed to make it not a 3-man rushdown, but a 2-man rushdown. A split fight constantly.
Yeah, set up those 3v2s, and as best as possible, Toy Assassin does have a good set of options for making that happen. They have the Shackle, just keep anyone in the opposing team in place. They have just the fact that they're Esmo and can deal the damage, actually quite effectively, all things considered. And considering that once their ultimate's up as well, I mean, between them and Lucy, if they can survive long enough to get a double ultimate, Crippling Goo and Grimoire, we're going to see basically someone on Stalkers Nude go down. And already the beginning is coming in.
Yeah, Storku finding damage in the early game, not committing too hard though.
Oh no, but they are getting some support here. We have Toy Assassin sneaking around the back, so this isn't so much a kitey team as it is simply a sneaky team, and Hokugan making Crimson Dare and regret having ever started to play Ulrich because they have no easy way of dealing with that Croak. Directional shields have a hell of a time dealing with cloaked stealth opponents that can just go behind them.
First orb does go over to Stalkers Nude, and they're finding value. However, their Ulrich's finding a lot of damage onto them as well. Hirokin finding a very good poke game here.
And we are seeing that that poke game is starting to pay off, though, as Hokugan is managing to get that damage on Crimson Darren. They might go down.
Chaos Grip.
Ooh!
No HP left, even as the ultimate comes through from no one. It's not enough to save his ally. The same can be said, though. The opposing healer is really low. That Lucy can be burned down in a second, and no one wants it. The boulder does land. Berserk keeps him up. Storko has Whirling Blade. There's the end cap. The combo with Tempest Rush isn't enough because the Panic Flask is there. Lucy barely stays alive, and now they've got that crippling goo. They burn it for now, just wanting the roll to stay up the orb to keep their HP at max, and they get it. I think this is round 1 to you fools.
Looks like very well might be. Zara's is still the main thing to go for that ultimate coming in. That might be the answer. There's the
They've
goo.
got the damage.
There's the goo.
Barrier onto 1. Whirling Blades will be enough to find the trade. Struxu in a 1v2, but a winnable one. Panic comes through, though, and Storku is unable to find the follow-through. Now, with a Venom Wind on the board, and already... Oh, he gets the counter!
What?
He's fine! He dodges the Venom Wind! I don't think he has it, though. Panic will secure the round, and as we predicted, You Fools comes out on top.
You Fools is making that look easy. I mean, yes, it was a bit of a tough situation. It was obvious that they had to work for it, but man, they got in there, and they were able to deal as much damage to their opponents as...
Hey, Dominic!
One person... Yeah? What's up?
Do we have Jazz?
Oh, we have Jazz. My bad. Bit too much Jazz. I try to make sure the audio is a bit okay, but yeah.
10 out of 10. Round number 2.
Broadcasting!
You fools are really trying to find pressure, and they're being pushed back right off the bat. They have to get back into this kiting game, and the same is not happening. They're Lucy already at half HP as the disengage comes through. No one, though, in a similar boat. He'll find the rush onto Lucy. Chaos Grip doesn't connect. He is very low, and his counter's not been procced. Watch the HP on no one here as he goes for Orb and doesn't get it. He is gone.
That entire round, no one was getting torn to pieces, though. ZRX's was the focus, yes, but Hokugan and Toy Assassin took full advantage of that. Now Toy Assassin has the Grimoire up, and they can just go ham. As long as there's the escapes down, then it's over with. And the Panic setup, this could be it.
Oh. They've got the Chaos Grip. They've got the kill, even as the counter's red. The Shifu is dead. Crimson is the last player alive, and he has not taken any damage up to this point, which I think is kind of telling.
Yeah, until the triple ultimate comes in there and completely brings them down to about third HP. Yeah, no damage, not for now, but a 3v1 is going to make sure that it's not no damage for long. So 2-0. By the way, this is 3 maps. Win score 3, best of 3 maps. So we already have You Fools taking a very clear early lead. And this is not something I necessarily expected. I mean, TJ, we're used to the NA meta where the kind of rush down that we're seeing coming out from Stalkers Nude reigns king. But man, You Fools is just completely shutting it down. Yeah, ZRX's gets focused a few times, but Hokugan and Toy Assassin knowing that's going to happen. ZRX's is good enough at staying alive with the barriers and the rolls. They can get out of there, and then Toy Assassin and Hokugan, they can destroy no one. They can destroy possibly even Crimson Darren. But definitely no one is the clear target focus.
No one... Again, getting knocked low by the Chaos Grip in the early phase of this. He'll have to play carefully because of those last few rounds, but he's instead committing. He just wants to get back in here, and so far it's working. The disengage is forced, and already the Lucy's at half HP. But
at the same time, there's that Orb. Zerex's almost has full ultimate, and their HP has managed to be healed decently well. Storku trying to cause some trouble, but the Panic Flask is going to make sure that Storku is pretty much on their own.
And that's exactly what you want from a Panic Flask already. Ultimate has been brought up. This could be huge. It's a crippling goo lands appropriately. It's enough to keep them alive. They've seen counter. They've seen Fleetfoot. The pressure is on. There's the crippling goo. No one caught out in the middle of it. Knocked very, very low. Below half HP. But they find the combo. Canyon swing. And the crush at exactly the same time. There is nothing left. The Lucy is deleted from the face of the planet.
And with that, I don't see any easy way You Fools gets in this. They do have a few potential kill opportunities. Crimson Darren does miss that Aegis.
Oh, double Venom Wind! He's got both of them, and he finds damage. Crimson's got nothing. Same for Storku. They can absolutely turn this round, but they can't find the damage. Finally, one kill comes through from the Esmo M1s. Toy Assassin does have the follow-up as well at close range if he isn't stunned. Chaos Grip's eating up. Good Radiant Shield will keep Crimson alive for now, and he's still got more disengage. He's still got more disengage as he finds a Condemn just to keep himself alive. Chaos Grip, I think, though, does seal the deal, and Toy Assassin's fought his way back into this round off of the back of that incredible Venom Wind.
Oh, I mean, speaking of disengage, though, man, those frog leaps. Hokugan's probably so pissed at this point. They've missed like 4 frog leaps in a row that could have all been kills on Crimson Darren. They should finally be able to get it now, but this round, it's been so close because this over-the-wall frog leaps did not quite manage to connect. Because frog leap, that is, I think, 20 damage. And that is definitely what you want to have in this situation. And now we finally get the finish off. But, boy, you fools did not get that round for free. My goodness, Stalkers Nude put up a fight, and this is what I was expecting to see earlier on with the melee rushdown. The focus on the Lucy really paying off. And yeah, Xerxes did a great job staying alive, but ultimately, that's why the rushdown does what it does. It's why it has the effectiveness it does, because simply put, when you have that much damage put in your opponents, and they only have like 1 or 2 escapes for each character, there's only so long they can last. And even the times they really lasted, a lot of that was team support. Things like the Arcane Ward from the Esmo put onto the Lucy to keep them around as long as possible, which very well played, but even then, that's with meter, and that's on cooldown, and there's just a point where the melee rushdown is able to drain everything their opponents have to get away.
And I really do feel like that round was decided by the Venom Wind.
Totally.
Hokugan finds a Venom Wind, and crucially, it's not even a perfect Venom Wind. Crimson Darren, I believe, still had Intervene up. He just mistimes it. And that's all it takes. And Intervene's one where it's actually pretty easy to mistime because it's got a variable length on the iframe.
And that's the thing, is that it's tricky because you do have that, and it's also just the fact that it is their only iframe, so they've got to be really careful. Well, it's only meterless iframe. I should be noting that. It is obviously something that they can use Condemn if they need to in order to have that metered iframe, but that still requires the meter. So it's tricky to make sure it works, but when it does, it is definitely quite good.
I'm being told that I'm
working on that right now.
You got it? Right, check. Hunter for the tech support is on the scene. We're already into game number 2. The draft is beginning as we speak. Both teams declaring that they're repicking, which does make sense. Stalkers Nudes particularly, given, of course, that last game.
Yeah, Stalkers
Nude does come out.
Stalkers Nude still going for the Shifu, but I seriously doubt they're going to go for that same degree of rushdown. I think they were thinking that they could get away with it, like as they tried to do in the last round, focus down the support, destroy them, and then make that into a 3v2 for the rest of the round, which could have worked, except for the fact that they took so much damage early on that Hokugan and Toy Assassin were able to take full advantage of that. And now I'm guessing they're going to go for a ranged pick second. I almost would think Destiny. I know it's out of meta, but just considering the Esmo and Lucy and considering the range damage coming in there, I would not be surprised. Oh, but it's Pestilus.
Oh, Pestilus.
Ooh.
Okay, this is a change up in support, but it does give them more CC. It gives them more control abilities because they have the panics.
And that's exactly it. Those panics are going to make it a lot harder for the kites to happen because there's 2 things. The Queen is going to provide a zoning space where they can't really kite around it. So it's a bit of a setup position, but also Arachnophobia is just straight panic. So they have multiple options to force their opponents out of the positions that they want. Because the thing is, yeah, we are seeing kites from you fools, but the key part of that play is that they want to get kiting until they find an opportunity, at which point they'll collapse. And if that collapse gets completely disrupted by panics, then they're done. And there's that Destiny! Crimson Darren with the Destiny!
Exactly.
I called it!
Exactly. Yes. Exactly as you called. And it does come through. That's going to give them a kind of a 3-tiered system now. Shifu out front. Second time in the mid lane, they'll have that Pestilus and Destiny just kind of hovering in a mid-range fight. That gives them a whole bunch of CC, actually, because they have the silence shot from Destiny, in addition to Lockdown, in addition to the Queen Panics, which, by the way, Lockdown Queen Panic is a terrifying combo.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was thinking of doing that, because you get the lockdown, you get the Queen Panic, and then all of a sudden, you're forced to be stunned, at which point everyone else falls up. I mean, there's still the Shifu there, so the Shifu can come in and just go ham, or they can just set up a Tendon Swing if they want to completely force it, or heck, why not do a stun on one, Tendon Swing on the other, and then just focus down the third in a 3v1 that kills them inside of 2 seconds, when that's what you got for the time and the stun and the in-cap. So that is going to be very cool to see.
Hey, Dominic. We're just waiting on some members of the production team.
Yeah, well, fair enough. I got it. We're in. I mean, okay, gotta remember the stream can actually see this stuff because they wanted to see the draft, really? So I made sure. Well, I put this chat on so that people could see the draft because people wanted to see what was happening.
This is the first time, every time I talk about how Dominic never remembers to press the ready button, we've finally seen it on record. It's been displayed.
In my
Wins game,
in my defense, I'm
you
broadcasting.
fools are up 1-0. Yeah, you're multitasking. You know who's not multitasking that? You fools. They've got a laser focus. They know what they've got to do. They've got to win this game to come out with the match victory. And they're only 3 rounds away from doing it because of this format.
And that's exactly the thing, is that this format does mean that you fools, they're coming in with an advantage, but they are also on Blackstar. No, on Mount Raz Day. Wait, what? Mount Raz Day again? Hang on. How did the map
I don't know, man.
Okay,
like
whatever.
Mount
Cool.
Everest.
We're on Mount Raz Day.
I'm on board.
I mean, it's a cool map. Sure. I won't fault it for that. It was just a little bit surprising. I must have blanked out and it was not Mount Raz Day last time. Anyway, the point is that what we are seeing is going to be a very different match because, like I said, we had that Destiny there. We have the Pestilence there. And that combination, like we were talking about before, sets up so many control opportunities. But that being said, I feel like it is partly playing into You Fools' game because now You Fools doesn't have to worry about that rushdown. They can play their kite game, they can play their poke game, and ultimately they can play their build up to ultimate and then wreck your face with books and goo and make you just die. That's their game. So at this point, unless we see Crimson Darren and Storku kind of put together to put that pressure onto them or just block off the shots as they're coming in, stop Toy Assassin from doing anything with the plasma walls, I'm not sure how well this is going to work in favor of Stalkers Nude. It will give them a chance to actually play a full game, but it will also give you fools a chance to build up that meter they need in order to get that endgame triple ultimate setup that has won them at least 2 rounds thus far.
Expect this game to be much slower. Is that fair?
That's fair. That's exactly what I'm saying. Although we are seeing a bit of a fast
Watch
opening.
out for this Pestilence. Yeah, no one caught very far forward. Crimson Darren likewise. Storku, though, finding value in response. That poor Lucy already focused down. Rookin the Frog, though, is the man with the lowest HP as it's dropped to absolutely nothing with his commit into a 1v2.
And that panic getting completely stopped. No, never mind. There's the panic again. There's the shot. But Storku not getting hit by the panic. Still forced away regardless. And they might go down.
Tempest Rush keeps him up. Counter will be hit. That Kunju allowing him to reset, sort of back off. And I think that's all he needed. Just stay alive for now. Find an opportunity to maybe go for this first orb. However, Deadly Inject is there. And no one, his healer, has just been pulled so far forward.
Oof, and Storku being pulled out of position thanks to that counter being procced. The orb ultimately does go over to Storku's Nude, but that might not be enough.
They get the orb. That's enough. That keeps Storku in for now. For now being the operative word, though, he recommits, gets the green HP shards, and will disengage. Look at how split Stalkers Nude as a team are, though. They have absolutely no cohesion right now, and they need to fix that. Group up towards mid.
Oh, if they could, though, that orb does go over to You Fools. The split from the panic goes over to You Fools. And at this point, the roll's the only reason the Eurexus has not thrown out the crippling goo, because at this point, no one is completely vulnerable. Storku's down. No one can go down afterwards. Hokugan as well in a vulnerable position, but Stoku's the next one out. Or sorry, no one's the next one out.
Yeah, he's just hanging out up top. He's got absolutely no HP left and no tricks left either as Pestilence. The downside, obviously, of the character being the limited ability. Pinball did come through, but there are no pinball wizards. Someone was nudging the cabinet today. And as a result, the score was registered.
It was registered, but it was a tilt. That little tilt modifier, the entire table just decided to stop. The flippers were disabled, and that got, again, flippers disabled again thanks to the tilt, and that means it is going to be 1-0 starting out this second round for You Fools when they already have a 1-0 advantage. And starting out very strong. This is exactly what I meant. They are playing their game. They have that poke. They're able to stay back. Hokugan took some more damage, yes. And that's the main thing I'm seeing going forward is that Hokugan is likely to be the focus as they are going to be in front. Toy Assassin will provide the support from behind, and Xerxes, of course, the healing. But while Storku did focus Xerxes, it didn't provide that much mileage. Xerxes seemed to be playing with Storku. Storku would drop counters, and Xerxes would just proc them or not, whether or not they wanted Storku to be out of position. So I don't see Storku going for that. I see them going for Hokugan, but there's that pivot over to Xerxes anyway.
Oh, no one already incredibly low. Watch this as he just needs to back off. He's already spent Infest, which leaves him vulnerable, and you can see Xerxes just hammering in the damage. Roken will hard commit. There's the stun. The flurry as follows. We'll find big damage, and Infest is again spent. This means there's no mid control right now, but they still get the orb. Storko's Nude still managed to pull it up, and I think that's all that's keeping them in this game.
It's kind of tricky, though. Hokugan is taking on 2v1, and they're doing a great job of it, but that is enough. Nice flank from Toy Assassin to secure that kill and possibly secure the win. It is going to be a question of Xerxes versus Stoker, but it looks like Xerxes is fine. They got the 3v1 and Crimson Darren, and they're setting up to win.
Pinball does come out. He finds one impact. That's not enough, particularly as the Grimoire comes through and will connect and find the kill on Distracting. Crimson in a 1v3. Can't hope for this. And we're now 1 round away from a match victory to you fools.
Oh, you fools, they are just doing a great job here. I mean, Hokugan I thought would be the focus, and they kind of were, but they were able to even manage a 2v1 on their own. So Hokugan, their mechanical skill alone is doing a great job here, just keeping them alive. They're playing it safe. They're not trying to fish for damage. They don't have to. They're just making sure to stay alive, and that's all they need to do. That gives Toy Assassin and Zerexus plenty of time to deal with no one and deal with Storku, while Crimson Darren is distracted, or even no one gets distracted. But we saw it there before. No one decides to back off. Toy Assassin's right on it with the flank. Very perfectly set up.
No one spent that entire round isolated. He never seemed to have allies around him protecting him.
Exactly. They had a lot of help, but the thing is, Pestilence is one of those heroes that kind of needs that help. I mean, like you said before, they have Infest that lets them escape, and they did not take the double Infest right, so they only have the one. They can escape, they can go into a teammate to do that, or even an enemy, but the problem is that if they don't have that escape, all they have is their teammates helping them out, which, I mean, Crimson Darren has the plasma shields, but we haven't seen them even use them, so it's almost like they don't.
Look at the split right here. Toy Assassin fighting Soroku in a 1v2. Konju will be popped, but he's still found the damage. That forces a disengage. Zerexu and Hokugan, in the meantime, not finding much, but they're holding the line. Zerexu's team does get the orb. Unfortunately, that doesn't make up for his low, no HP, as he hangs out up top with the pressure building onto him.
Did you see that? That was Storku. They got their Kunju popped, but the thing is, you fools knew Storku didn't have Tempest Rush, so they knew they could just go for it and then take him out after the Kunju. And again, there it is again, pulling Storku out of position and allowing them to be completely wrecked by the Chaos Grip from Toy Assassin.
But again, they get the orb, and that might be enough. Hugo can, again, commits onto no one. He's got nothing left. The shielding is there. That'll keep him up as the Infest is spent. He is vulnerable, but he's got the Queen for self-healing. The opposing healer, the Lucy, is very low as well. If one focus can come through, Crippling Goo is on the board, though. No one has the Swarm. That's all that's keeping them alive down bottom. One more focus and they're gone. Same can be said for their opposition, but they've got the green HP shards. If they can stay up, Hukuken says no. The Croak commit will find the kill.
And Hokugan with the HP to make that stick. Storku, however, not having that HP, and Crimson Darren in a 1v3 for their tournament life. This is single elimination, by the way, so if Crimson Darren does not win this 1v3, that is Storku's Nude out of the tournament for this Battlerite Asia number 6.
They looked good last round in the 1v3 at the end, but they didn't win it. And I don't see them winning it this time either. Their counter will be popped again. They're looking awfully good here. But looking good in a 1v3 and winning it are very different things. They are not doing badly. Pinball comes through. Zerexu knocked down to no HP. Unfortunately, it is not enough. And you will have a 2-0 victory to you fools.
You fools not really living up to their name. They're actually doing a really good job. Although they're saying the full team is actually You Fools is Shiny Knight's replacement, which is amusing because we actually don't have You Fools or Shiny Knight playing today, which is a little bit surprising, but it looks like that is a bit of a misnomer. Regardless, in any sense of the word, You Fools have won. They are not foolish themselves. They have managed to pull forward, and they are actually going to be up against SG Represent. Ooh, SG Represent. That's Devilish, Yane, and Tooney. That is one of the best teams in the Asia region. So to have that be their next round, that is going to be a bit of an uphill struggle, but we know they can do it. You Fools, they are a strong team. They have good strategy, the good thinking. I want to reiterate how much I love the way that Zerexus was triggering those counters on the Kunjus, knowing full well that we weren't going to see a Tempest Rush or Fleetfoot immediately afterwards, allowing for so much damage onto the Shifu after the counters proc, when normally procking the counters is a terrible idea. But in this case, full control from You Fools. So that intelligence of play is something I really want to see going forward.
He's just looked, the entire team just looked so smart, so coordinated that game. And well, it did pay off. We have, I believe, a community-funded prize pool of over $200 to give away today in the Battlerite Asia number 6. Don't go far. We'll be right back with the remainder of the bracket in just a few moments. After, what, 10 minutes of jazz? 10 minutes of jazz sounds good.
Yeah.
We'll be right back in just a moment. Welcome back. We are into the second game of the evening for the Battlerite Asia number 6 tournament. We have $224 worth of prize pool. My name's TJ, joined by Dominic as we get into the draft for this second game. Team names and, of course, the draft so far.
And this is going to be a very exciting start. We already have the Bako Blossom pick. So we have Bako and Blossom being picked for Boy Next Door. That is going to be Kotoda, Tofu, and Noob. And Ringos will touch everyone's ass. And Shout Away is going for Blossom, Rook, Alicia. Yes, I did just say that, which is Lunatic, My Orange, and right. JW7.
That is his name, but like I thought we were going to talk around it, like not actually. All right, fine, sure.
Wow, right
Rook,
through
Alicia. Rook, Alicia, Blossom is the complete roster for SG represent.
No,
no.
Well, yeah.
Showed away.
Yeah. Showed away
on the right side.
SG represent is not playing this match.
Yes, Showed away on the right side. End up with Blossom, Rook, Alicia, which is a really traditional composition. Frontline Rook melee, back up with the healer of Blossom and the ranged damage of Alicia.
You say that, but I find it's kind of its Urzad's composition because at the same time, yeah, it is normal in that meta sense, but usually it's a Bako with either a Lucy or a Pestilus or a Paloma or whatever, and a Varesh or something. And not usually this exact composition where you have an Alicia as opposed to a Varesh or an Ashka. It's like that's just striking me as being like normal, but a little bit to the side. Just that slight bit of difference, that little bit extra spice. So I'm really curious to see how we're going to see this played by Shout Away, being that it is kind of unusual and Noob kind of went off. Okay, so we're going to have a bit of a small bit of technical difficulties. Bear with us, please. But
he was talking earlier about having some VPN issues, so I imagine that's the case. He'll probably reconnect as soon as it's sorted.
Yeah, that appears to be a bit of a problem, unfortunately, but that is something that is being dealt with.
He's back!
Hey, there we go. But at the same time...
Oh, no!
Well, we'll be back to this. But that's fine. Hey, we got plenty to talk about here, because, hey, how often do we see Blossom, Rook, Alicia actually be played? I mean, come on, TJ. That is a thing that does not happen.
I would say, like, this is one of those compositions that is fine in all of its component parts. Blossom is very good support character. Rook is a very good melee character, and Alicia is a fine ranged character. It's just the reason this composition isn't played at a competitive level is because they don't synergize.
And that's the thing, is that we're going to see Rook get up in front, and the difficult thing is that Blossom and Rook especially have a hard time because Rook is going to be so far away from Blossom that setting up the tree for Blossom means that Rook doesn't get it, or setting up the tree for Rook means Blossom doesn't get it. And that means also Alicia doesn't get it because Alicia is going to be in the back likely with Blossom. But then Alicia has a lot of mobility options that she has to get around, which means they might end up staying around with Rook. Or might see the Rook just kind of hang back a little bit, play highly defensive, be that careful Rook that only rushes in when they know they're going to actually manage to hit. Which, if we do see that, I can see this team working. But once that Rook gets slightly out of position, it's going to be very difficult for Shout Away to actually find that value. I mean, you know, TJ, how Rook is.
Yes, I do. But let's talk about their opposition for a moment. Because being run actually by Boy Next Door is Bako, Esmo, Blossom.
Oh, yeah. That is more typical. Bako with Esmo together. That's... Oh, the shielding. Just imagine like this shielding between the War Shout and the Arcane Ward. If anyone in that team gets threatened hard, they are going to be fine. At least for a little while.
Yeah, and I think the slight change there, because that's the same team comp in terms of roles. They made one slight change in terms of characters. You get the Bako instead of the Rook, and Bako is a much more defensive character that's going to do a much better job of staying alive within fights and tight situations because they can protect their allies. And then instead of the Alicia, you have the Esmo, who can dash in and out, find engagements and big bursts of damage, and then retreat, stay safe behind the line created by a Bako. Like, it's the little change that's going to give them a little bit more flexibility, I think.
And I think also, too, the fact that Bako has far more ways in and out. That, to me, is the key thing between Bako and Rook, is that we're going to see the War Stomps come in, and they're going to be able to do some damage, yes, and we might see some aggression from that, but at the same time, that Bako can use that to just easily get away. Or War Shout, again, same thing, they can easily use that to speed up and get away. So I feel like we're going to see a bit more flexibility with that defensive wall you were talking about, TJ, compared to the Rook. which leads me to think that what we're going to see is a very all-or-nothing setup. Shoutaway is going to try to get in there, and when they try to get in there, they're going to try to go and kill someone as soon as they get in. They're just going to commit to it, 3v1, make it happen. Whereas the other side, we're going to see Boy Next Door probably play a little bit more like you were saying before, TJ, about that fortress composition. Have someone in front, have the ranged in the back, and have the support keeping everyone alive. That seems like Boy Next Door's setup. Shoutaway is going to probably show us how you turn that into more of a rushdown focus if we actually get into the game.
Yeah, if you're wondering what's the delay, we've now tried to get into the game 3 times, and every single time JW is disconnected in the loading screen. So hopefully we can sort that out as we continue. Yeah, there's the logs exposed.
Yeah, just to make sure, just make it absolutely clear what's going on, because I just want to make it easy to know, like, that this is a bit of an issue we're having. JW7 knows they're having that issue. It's obviously a bit of a pain, but now you do know that it isn't just us waiting here, just enjoying the sound of our own voices. I mean, don't get us wrong, we do enjoy the sound of our own voices, but that's not why.
Whenever there's a delay, Twitch chat is always like, start the game! Come on, guys!
We'd love to start the game!
Why are we just... Why aren't you starting? I swear, we're trying. I mean, it does look like he's back.
I'm sure JW7 of all people, they want to start the game. They apologize that they couldn't start the game. I'm not sure what's going on with them, but I'm aware that they are in China, and as we all know, China occasionally has a bit of an issue when it comes to connecting to the internet of the outside world. So that might just be the issue happening here.
I don't think that... I think Boy Next Door is the Chinese team.
Are they?
Earlier in the chat, somebody said it's not a VPN.
You're right, Boy Next Door is the Chinese team, my bad. Shoutaway, I can't identify that flag.
He just needs to take his internet cable and unplug it from the potato.
I think it's
and
Singapore.
Plug it into a router.
Yeah, hang on, sorry, no. Shoutaway's from Singapore, my bad. I am totally off. Wow. Yeah, sorry, my flag knowledge is not necessarily the best, so... a bit of apologies there, but I do see SG Represent does have that, and it looks like, yes, that is indeed Singapore. So I'm not sure what's with Singapore. As far as I know, Singapore's fine.
He is in China.
He's on a holiday! He's on a holiday in China, of all things! So I was actually right. I was right for the exact wrong reasons. Okay.
Well, we're in the game. I hope he's having a great holiday, and hopefully this time we do fully complete the load-in. He is on the support JW playing that Blossom. We talked a lot about Blossom. Blossom has always been more popular in the Asian region than in other regions, and I don't know why that is. Blossom isn't a very popular support in the West right now, simply because she doesn't have the synergy capabilities of most of the other supports. Do you think there's a specific reason why she's preferred in Asia?
One thing I've noticed about the Asian meta is that there's a bit more of a poke focus. I've always noticed that when I'm watching it, is that we don't have quite that same rushdown focus in an NA, where Blossom does have a hard time because they can't easily deal with, like, well, in the old days, the Shifu Serious composition, and now we're seeing more of a setup with, like, usually a Taya alongside Shifu or alongside Raigon. And that sort of thing is very difficult to deal with when you have the Blossom, because you only have the tree, you only have... Your healing's okay, but that's all you do is either just heal bot or try to set up maybe a few stuns. And for that kind of thing, I mean, especially with Ulrich out or Xander, those are usually the options gone for. And in North America, we see Xander all the time, and we now see Ulrich all the time. In the Asia scene, it's much more focused on the poke. It's much more focused on getting... And setup, when we saw even in the last game, is a really good example of how that works. So Blossom works really well in that because they can just deal with that poke. They set up the trees, those heal just fine, and provide a position from which their teams can actually fight.
Blossom is poke the character, so it checks out. I'm surprised we don't see more Pearl if that's the case.
You're right, yeah, Pearl is really good for dealing with that. I mean, the bubbles just stopped that from happening in the first place, and then she's able to silence out half the team, so at that point you're just able to go for the 3v1s. But again, I feel like Pearl would be supported more in a meta with aggression kind of between EU and NA, or possibly between Asia and NA. Like where you do have enough where that Pearl setup becomes a real point of focus, where you have that silent setup, and then the rest of the team comes in and takes full advantage of it getting a kill off that. And I could see that happening in the Asian meta, but at the same time, that Blossom clearly just is the popular choice.
Hey, I don't blame him. Blossom is pretty fun. We do finally. I won't say it actually. I'm not.
No, you're right. You're right. Don't
curse
jinx it. We don't know if JW7 is going to disconnect again. I mean, sorry, JW7. I don't want to put the shade on you, but at the same time, that was 4 disconnects that entire lobby setup, and we're only on map 1.
More than 4. He disconnected in the load because it said he just reconnected
3 times, and that was the 4th time where he was getting the VPN set up in the first place. So it's a little bit of a tricky situation, I'm afraid. But at the same time, that's also true of my orange.
Yeah, he goes in very aggressive. He will now find the incaps and freezes for the disengage, but he's paid for this first orb in blood, and a lot of it. They do get the orb. I don't think that's enough, though. Showaway has paid a massive toll.
However, I don't remember when I was talking about this about 2 years ago, when I mentioned we do have more of an aggressive focus from Shout Away, because that's what they need to do to keep up with the Rook. And that's exactly what we saw. And at the same time, My Orange is the front line. They're taking the damage. Unfortunately, that rush hitting the wall is going to be a real pain for them actually getting in further and getting more value.
Oh, Chaos Grip lands past the counter. He is gone. All it took was that one Chaos Grip silence, and all the Rook's defenses crumble.
I like
now, Grimoire will come through. Dance of the Dryads there in defense, but it's not enough. Oh, Frozen Gallery, 2 for 1, but that'll be all. 1-0 does look to be the scoreline in favor of Boy Next Door.
Well, I like the start up there, but at the same time, unfortunately, Boy Next Door did get a nice surround onto my orange. I mean, it was really the issue there. My orange got forward. They got a bit too much of the focus. JW7 and Lunatic tried to help, but at the same time, it was the distance the Rook was from the rest of their team at that opening juncture meant that they could not really get in without taking all the damage, which is exactly what happened, and set them up to not really be the front line later on. So what I'd like to see going forward is a little bit more of a walk-on, like not so much focus on the rush from My Orange, focus more on walking with the rest of the team. If they want to go for that forward strategy, make sure the rest of the team is able to keep up without burning their own escapes, because of course they're going to need those escapes to get back when things start to get a bit dicey and My Orange needs to retreat. If Lunatic and JW7 don't have their escapes, they're going to be the next focus, if not getting pivoted to right after My Orange gets a few hits taken.
Ringos playing a little bit more aggressive last round. They kited the Rook right off the bat. Not happening this time.
No, Rook right now is actually not even going for a forward. They're doing a much more backward strategy, but at the same time, that means they're able to stick with their team as the aggression happens.
Orange will finally get pinned against the wall, and the Esmo full tome charges do go into him. My Orange with very little in the way of HP now, spamming the eat to stay alive. Rook will finally be able to get a disengage against him, but Chaos Grip is there, and just look at this pressure.
Oh, but at the same time, that pressure, actually, My Orange is in a potentially good position. They just need to be able to set up something. As long as there's something, anything, but Grimoire is actually going to make that completely jeopardized and not manage to get that crushing blow.
He mistimes the crushing blow. He doesn't get to the Forest Sanctuary in time. There is healing there, but the Blood Axe Snipe comes through. Nude finds the follow-up, and that's 2-0.
2-0 right off the bat. It was a much safer strategy coming from My Orange, but at the same time, it just wasn't enough. The focus coming in from Noob, well, Noob and the Blocko, both really, that together was a huge focus. But look at Noob's damage on top of that. 638 damage coming in from Noob. Like, that's way more than anything on their opposing team by about a factor of 2.
So much pressure. Every single time My Orange had like a moment where they were vulnerable, Noob was right there, dumping out the damage and then displacing back.
And that's exactly what Esmo wants to do, get that hit and run in there. And My Orange at the same time cannot hit and run, which also, I was talking about earlier, Bako's going to be able to do that too. We are seeing exactly that. Bako can walk in and war stomp out, and walk in and shield dash out. They have so many options to get away from there. And My Orange, on the other hand, now they're playing more of a poke game with the rest of their team.
Poking, but not committing.
That is the key thing. Oh, there's the commit, though.
There's... Yep. And they will go in looking for the orb. They don't get it, though. Boy Next Door will pick it up, and they try and find pressure with that War Stomp. In-cap does come through. They don't have a response, but it's not needed, because instead there's a Rook right in the midst of them. And Orange is paying the price again. Chaos Grip lands. He's down to half HP, if not lower.
And that leaves them open. JW7 taking more of the focus afterwards, and the orb able to go over again to Boy Next Door. They have had all of the orbs this round, and that engage from My Orange, trying to find some value, but it's having a very difficult time.
Oh my god. He is gone! Dance of the Dryads will find the killing blow. Excellently done by the Blossom of Tofu right in the midst of that fight. JW tries to stay alive as well, but the Grimoire is there. He is gone. This looks to be A 3-0 victory.
I mean, I'm thinking what we're going to see next map, because this is map 1 of 2, and I kind of expect we're going to see Shadowway go for a slightly different composition, because, like you said, Rook just does not synergize well. We saw exactly that. It was very difficult for My Orange to find damage alongside their teammates. It was very difficult for them to sometimes even stay in the same general postal code as their teammates, because that's just how Rook tends to be. And I like the fact that they weren't getting away. They were being careful with the rushes so they didn't get completely caught out. But ultimately, they have to be careful, and ultimately, Rook does use that rush to get in, get that stun, and get that little extra opening damage when they want to engage. So sooner or later, they've got to throw that out there, and if they do, they haven't got a whole lot of ways back out of the fight.
And that is, of course, the danger of Rook. They are such... If you kite a Rook, there is nothing they can do. They're just left stranded.
They can throw meat at you. That's about it. Like, just if they have meter and they don't really care to lose that crushing blow iframe, they could just grab a stick of meat and fling it at you for 24 damage and hope that works. I mean, it's not much, but hey, between that and the rocks, they can at least deal a good 40 damage or so from distance.
Are we not seeing redrafts? Are these teams just sticking with these comps? No one's mentioned it yet. I don't know if they know. I don't think they're super familiar with the rules. Making the choice.
I feel like
we will see.
Yeah, I feel like they might not be aware that they're allowed to do that between rounds. Okay, they are. Okay, good. Potentially. That makes sense. Because I wasn't entirely sure, and at that point, I figured maybe. Also, at the same time, we should probably point out a little bit of drama in the rest of the match. We do actually have Plish, the top team here. Plish will be going to the Army in a few days, which they will be. So this is their last tournament, actually, but we'll get to that later. Versus the Postal Llamas. And we have SG Represent beating you fools, though apparently Hokugan mentioned they did manage to take a round off SG Represent, so good job there, because SG Represent is a strong team. With Cinna Bro also in the semifinals. So, bit of a stack semifinals already on the bottom side. On the top side, we are, of course, setting up who is going to be fighting against the winner of Plish will be going in the Army in 3 days, and the Postal Llamas. Once we get JW7 back in the lobby, and possibly get the repicks going.
He's fine. Don't worry. He's just restarting everything, I assume.
Just going to the nearest router, like going to the nearest network node and just restarting it. Because it's like at this point, you pretty much have to.
It went down to the local power substation. They've got a coal-fired power plant powering the entire city, and he's restarted it. Flipped a giant lever. Off.
Just took that lever, just turn it off and on again, because that's what you gotta do. Sometimes when things aren't working, you just gotta restart them. I mean, the entire city is gonna be a little bit pissed off that there's just been this blackout because some guy just wants to play video games, but hey, come on. There's good reasons for this. There's money on the line. There actually is money on the line. If you guys want to help add to that prize pool, more than just chests, you can go over to the Matcherino website. I believe it's the !donate is the command you want to use in the chat. That'll get you the link that if you want to throw some money in the pot, and that'll allow you to get a little bit of a message said to the rest of the audience, which we will get to at some point. If we actually see donations.
We do have the draft. Lunatic declare they're repicking, but they don't have to go through the full drafting process because Boy Next Door are not interested in changing their lineup.
Unfortunately, of course, we are going to see JW7 have a bit of a technical issue, but we've been over that before. But yeah, it looks like we're possibly going to see a Jake coming in. I noticed that briefly before. So that's going to be interesting. JW is apparently having... Okay, he says he won't disconnect once he's in the game. He'll only disconnect in the lobby. Well, that is reassuring.
I mean,
we noticed that. It was fine. And once we got into the game, everything went smoothly. Yeah. It was a 3-0. It was a sweep, yes, but it was a smooth sweep.
The man hasn't lasted two minutes in the lobby, but he's apparently lasting 5 minutes in game.
Yeah.
Now, if only his team could last more than 5 minutes in game, things would really be tested.
Wow. A shade coming from TJ right there. A little bit of a burn. Gotta make sure there's an ointment for that there, you know?
Well, he's got plenty of time because maybe that's what he's doing during all these breaks.
Just the aloe vera.
We finally got it in. Yeah, every time he's in. Oh no, he's just got to go get it.
Just get that aloe. Just put it on you. Put it on the cables, maybe. I mean, who knows at this point? I feel like anything's gonna work to make sure the internet cables work better. Maybe give some to the Chinese government and they'll make the internet work faster. I have no idea.
Well, it must be a game. If he's not disconnecting during the game itself, it can't just be a blanket internet issue, right?
True. It's probably... Oh, no, I think I know what it is. Because the thing is that I'm pretty sure what happens is that when it's setting up the loading, it's also doing the socket connection, which means that that's the exact point where it is going to screw up. Once it gets into the game, so long as the internet is actually stable, it's fine. But before it gets into the game, if it has to do any kind of network address translation, which it might have to do going through VPNs or going through routers or going through the Great Firewall, I could see that being a problem where it does cause the disconnect issues we're seeing.
That is a very technical explanation from somebody who's much smarter than me. Thanks for.
I have worked on this stuff as a school project. It is as scary as it sounds. Actually, scarier than it sounds. And it already sounds pretty scary, I'm sure.
JW is. Oh, he did. We're in.
Whoa,
we're good.
yeah.
We're fine.
All right, there we go.
So we do get in, finally, and they have changed up the roster slightly. Pestilence Shifu Jade was what I saw over on Showed Away.
Yeah, that is really close to what they had before, but at the same time, it's... I mean, we don't have the Alicia, we have the Jade, which I think is a much stabler choice. Jade has a lot more power to her. I mean, even with the recent nerfs, they aren't much. There's a slight bit of reduced poking potential. Which, granted, that might be a bit of a problem, but then again, now the Shifu, they'll just go forward with the Shifu. And that's the thing, it's a Shifu, not a Rook. And the Shifu has all the escapes in the world, so they have no problem getting in, staying sticky, and when they need to escape, just set the Fleetfoot or Tempest Rush and walk away. Now, Lunatic, however, they're the Pestilence. We saw that last game, that Pestilence can be a bit of a problem if they're getting focused, and considering how much the opposing team, how much Boy Next Door can set up that focus, it's a little bit difficult. I could see it being an issue where Lunatic needs to get a little bit of help from MyOrange or from JW7, and that is the one thing this composition is going to have a hard time doing, is supporting that Pestilence.
1-0 is the scoreline. Boy Next Door, one game away from victory. As Dominic does need to update the scoreboard at the top of the...
I do, you're right. My bad.
Showed Away. This is their changed comp. They've made changes, they've adapted, they have a lot more in the way of defensive characters this time around, and that's good if they can only stop Noob Zazman.
That is the key thing, and I think that we do have opportunities. The disabling shots coming from MyOrange are my point of choice, but we could see 10 in-swings coming in from JW7 as well. Either way, Noob is going to be the main focus, and there's that Snipe coming in to engage.
Snipe will be cancelled. Lunatic backing off here. Using the infest early to stay alive. JW in the meantime hard commits and pays the price, and it's a hefty one. The man has nothing left in terms of HP. He gets the shards, that'll allow a reset.
And they're going to go from the North Shards too at some point, but that's the thing, JW7, even with the Shifu, is having a very difficult time.
Chaos Grip from across the map. Conju counter will be spent. He's caught out in that Boom Bloom seed as well. He has barely any HP remaining. They need this orb right now on the Showed Away side, and they're one hit away. They are denied. Heroic Charge is available as well.
Oh, and that Heroic Charge could turn things into a very definitive setup.
Oh! The Grimoire is deployed as well. JW is gone. Lunatic is quick to follow. You've made the changes. You've brought out the defensive characters. And, well, the defense isn't going any better.
I mean, to be fair, I did feel like that had a bit of more chance to it. Just the problem was because JW7 got so torn apart, which I wasn't expecting for a Shifu, that did open things up for the rest of the team to just get in. Because really, JW7 is the closest thing to have their front liner. On the other hand, MyOrange on the Jade doing a pretty decent job. And people are actually wondering about her rights, and it looks like they are going for a fair bit of stealth. Ambush through the shadows. I don't see a lot of through the shadows, by the way. That's the Fading Haste on stealth. Interesting idea. And the rest of it's fairly normal. Delight for the healing and the extra disabling shot pierce. So interesting, fairly normal setup, but I'm a bit surprised at the through the shadows. Regardless, though, with that, I'm not sure that haste is actually doing them a whole lot of good. That is the one big thing.
I want to see, for this Jade specifically, if they can play a bit more of a defensive role, specifically protecting Lunatic. Because I think the stuns that they have would make a major difference.
Yeah, the stuns would make a difference. They could also throw in the smoke veil for the shield. That would help a little bit there. But the question is when to do it. Now would have been a perfect time. They did not quite get the shield on them either. And at the same time, though, MyOrange is actually finding a fair bit of mileage in the front lines.
Yeah, JW not taking the same damage they were previously, and that is a good shift. This snipe will land because Bulwark's down. He's unable to find the hit, though. This orb should be up for grabs, and JW secures it. Second of the round to Showed Away.
And the Showed Away does at least manage to get that, but My Orange is so damaged in the process, and they haven't really found a whole lot of value since that early engagement. This is a bit of an issue, and I could see them potentially trying to go over to Nude or to Kotori Tofu, but I don't see that happening with great value taken.
No. Tofu does have his ultimate down to the Giants available and will be deployed now, finding one hit on multiple opponents before the panic comes through, but it does come through and he is split up. Grimoire will connect in the meantime onto Lunatic. Lunatic has his own ult available. My Orange should have his explosive shells up in seconds. Heroic Charge comes through first though and nearly finds the kill. He is so low. The Scarabs need to be spent just for the regen potential defensively, although they do get an opportunity to spend aggressively as well as the Baku commit does come through. JW will again pick up the orb. Explosive shells down bottom, that's damage.
Yeah, that bulwark did go down, so it was clear for My Orange they could go for it, but they didn't manage to find as much value as I'm sure they would have hoped for.
Oh, JW goes down up top during this time. And I think that might be all you need. As Dance to the Dryads will come through. One hit found. My Orange does have explosive shells again, but they've lost all their allies, and I think that means the round's over.
No, they need to have a perfect situation. Even if they baited up bulwark, they'd have the boom bloom seeds. They'd have Chaos Script. There's no way they can get that explosive shells out that would actually manage to get them the round, and indeed it does not. So at this point, it is just Boy Next Door having an absolutely amazing position to work with. One more round and they're good. They've got this. That's all it'll take.
Showed Away have tried really, really hard to, I think, adapt their playstyle, and it is showing it's just not working well enough.
And that's a bit of a shame, because Showed Away, I do like how they've got this thing set up. I do prefer this team composition to what they had before. It's just a question of how they're going to make that work, because Showed Away, they're having a hard time actually getting the damage value. I don't see as much of a coordination between My Orange and JW7, which I'd really like to see to secure that permanent damage.
JW does find more damage this time. Counter, though, will be red. He needs to find the damage on Ringhost, and he's starting to get more success this time.
And they got the orb too. That success could be continued along with that panic.
Infest will be spent. Good dodge of the Chaos Grip will be found. Lunatic, though, that's a hard engage. He's left all alone in a 1v3. He uses the Infest very aggressively. It works out, though, because they're able to find the panic stun combo with the snipe coming through. Explosive shells is up for My Orange. If he can find a good angle for it, they could be deadly. Instead, he's just opting defensively, using the smoke veil so that he can get the orb with snipe, which they do. Boy Next Door keeping the HP lead.
And there's the bulwark and the explosive shells coming in there. Ooh.
Oh, they find the kill with them. Whirling Blades also available for JW. All he needs is the timing and the spacing. Nude will eat the entire duration of them. He too is gone, and I think they're on the board.
Kotori Tofu is not going to... Do they have this? Oh, Kotori Tofu. They're just pulling my heartstrings here. But it looks like they're out of cooldowns. They're so desperate to stay alive, but that is going to be it. Still, though, we have it on the board. Showed Away, getting around. Nicely done.
Nothing wrong with shooting.
And that was what we asked for. Change up your playstyle, play a bit more defensively and a bit more carefully, and then take the engagement as a team.
I mean, that's exactly what you tell me all the time, and it's good advice. I just never take it myself. But hey, good advice that we are seeing Showed Away do take, and it does work out beautifully. And we actually also saw JW7 and My Orange, they did coordinate a fair bit, as Lunatic as well. We saw them collapse onto opponents, which is what I wanted to see, and I'm glad I saw it. If they keep going with that, we could see them manage to get this onto map 3.
That is, of course, what they need. If 2 more rounds go their way, we go to this map 3. Otherwise, it's game over.
Oof. And they might all be starting out right now. JW7 on that tendon swing to set up. But of course, the question is the orb. The orb gets taken. But now it's a matter of whether or not it's going to be JW7 or My Orange engaging, because clearly the offense is in favor of Showed Away.
Look at this pressure coming through successfully now onto My Orange. He needs to spend the junk shot just to stay alive. He's pinned in the corner for an awfully long time, but they do get separation. Tofu, the Blossom support is hard split. Heroic Charge is available. They try and cast him, but get nothing with it. Now second time's the charm, and no connection is found. Ringhost will recommit, but he's blown a massive ultimate for no damage. Even now, as they begin to find damage onto the Pestilence, he's going to be fine because Explosive Shells is on the board. Down to the Dryads for the Weekend does come through, barely in time to save the life from Nude. Nude does have a Grimoire as well, and they've just seen the Infest, so he's got to be tempted, but My Orange is able to pressure him back. There goes that Grimoire, but the counter's hit! He finds the disengage with the Kunju. JW is fine!
And the snipe stopping the heroic charge from killing off Lunatic. That was an amazing clutch play from My Orange to save the day. Grimoire could still find something, but no, that is not going to happen. When the Infest, still the Dance the Dryads connect, and we have a 2v2.
A very winnable one for both sides. Now JW does have the advantage of a full Whirling Blades. They've just seen both displaces as well, but he can't close the distance in time. Instead, he'll spend it, hopefully, and just get Chaos Gripped instantly. Nothing of value found. Noob is knocked low, but he's going to have the Grimoire in a few moments. This orb needs to go to show it away if they want to get back in, and they do not pick it up.
My Orange does have the explosive shells. That's the one shot. They get that off, and they avoid the Grimoire. They might get out of here, but their teammate going down is still going to make that impossible.
And there you go. 3-1. Boy Next Door take the game and the match 2-0.
Boy Next Door showing us what you can do with what is not the most typical composition, but still a composition that works beautifully well. That Esmo Bako Blossom. We're going to see it going forward. Though the next round is not going to be that. The next round is actually going to be SG Represent and Cinna Bro, which I'm really excited about. Because SG Represent, pretty much the best, or second best team in this entire tournament. Cinna Bro, they're, I believe, number 3. Yes, they are number 3. That's Natty, Lobster Lifer, and Puma. Ooh, Natty's team. That's going to be exciting. So we will be getting that. Man, TJ, do you remember? I think you were here when we saw Natty last time.
Sure, but it should be lightning fast because they've been waiting on us. So we'll go to a lightning fast break, a flash. I don't even think we'll need to. I'm already in the lobby. Do you want to go anyway?
Yeah, sure. Let's go anyway.
The lobby invite.
Let's do this.
Okay, we're into game. Maps have been decided. It'll be Dragon Garden night, Mount Arrows night, Blackstone Arena day.
Ooh. I mean, we haven't seen Dragon... We've seen those... That's pretty typical setup. Starting out with Dragon Garden Knight, definitely an interesting situation. We have Croak Blossom... Ooh, Croak Blossom Jade versus Freya Blossom Varesh. Hey, old school from Cinna Bro. I like it.
Croak Jade Blossom, a very fun composition because that's like combo city, stun city.
Oh.
Freya Blossom Varesh is the opposite. It's, I want to just take a brawl with you all day long.
Yeah, Freya in particular, that is going to be, going forward with the shields, going forward with the static. Although Freya was nerfed slightly, her damage is not quite as high as it was before, and her shielding, while still okay, it's a bit more evened out to her range. So she's actually going to have a bit of an easier time hanging out with the Blossom and Varesh and handling that poke game with them.
I would argue that the point of the Freya in this matchup isn't even really to find the damage, it's as a frontline and as a setup for the Varesh.
Very fair. That is going to be where we see that setup. Sorry.
What you want to do is you want to pull people in so that the Varesh shatters, the Varesh crushes, find big bursts of AoE damage, and then the Varesh can be your primary source. And you've all seen the numbers, you've all seen the games where a Varesh just has a field day and ends up with some of the highest damage numbers in the video game. If you leave a Varesh unchecked, they're unstoppable.
And not only that, consider that Freya has the static as well. So you get Judgment onto someone, you get Freya's static on top of them as well. That is going to be 14 damage per hit, pretty much, coming out of that Freya. For the basic hits, not even for any of the abilities, not even for any of the third hit on the bash. Just the first 2 hits, 14 damage each, compared to 10. So the synergies there that can be set up are going to be absolutely disgusting when that gets going, and I'm going to be very happy to see that. But
so
of course,
team names, just if you're a little bit quick and loose, because I know we've kind of jumped into this lobby. Cinna Bro is the team with Natty on it on the right. SG Represent is Yane's team on the left.
Yeah, so
I know we've kind of
we just
jumped in with no delay.
Yeah, so unfortunately we were a little bit behind on that, but it should be fine.
Oh, you got the team names up top as well. Why are SG Represent 1-0? What did they do to deserve that?
They're just that good, TJ. They're just that good.
Right. They won the game so quickly we couldn't even see it on stream. lightning fast.
Yeah, it just went back in time, and I was like, oh, okay, they won. Okay, I'll just put the score up. We'll just go straight to map 2. Sure, why not? Maybe it's a more even map. But no, we're actually on map 1 now. So those of you who were slightly confused by what was happening there, it's good.
These teams were playing Baco Egg Brawl while they were waiting. You can tell because it was Baco across the board.
Oh, yeah, that's a fair point. Must have been private Baco Egg Brawl too, because you don't actually have to play.
Yep. They were flying. I guarantee you, they were flying versus each other. that's what they were doing while they were waiting.
I mean, it's a good choice.
100%.
It's a good game mode. I mean, you casted a tournament for that, TJ, yesterday, didn't you?
Oh yeah, it was so stupid, but so great. We're into game though. And we do have the draft. As previously discussed, this Freya roster is going to be looking to set up the Varesh mostly. Lobster Lifer is going to be the primary source of damage, Puma taking the front line. The counter to that, the break point of that, is if you can find damage on the Varesh regardless, ignore the Freya, find value against the targets they're supposed to be protecting.
And I can see that happening too, because we do have the Croak Jade and the Jade Blossom. Because remember, you have Croak Jade, that is a classic, super old school setup where you just basically go for the camouflage into the snipe, or in-cap into the snipe and the camouflage stun. It's amazing. And then the Bloom seeds coming in from Blossom set up that even further, so we can have basically any pair from the SG Represent team setting up some kind of combo. And when you deal with that on top of the Varesh, when the Varesh doesn't have their Wuju or Kinetic Strike up, well, they've got no way out of there after that combo's done, so you can keep wailing on them with the gunshots and with the blade slashes from Jade and Croak. That's going to be absolutely disgusting if it's able to get set up.
And I can't wait to see if they do find those connections. Tuni, Yane, and Devilish are a very experienced roster.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Both sides are very strong, but Devilish, I mean, Yane, people were saying in chat, wanted to see Yane's Jade. Well, yeah, you want to see Yane's Jade. If you haven't seen Yane's Jade before, Yane is pretty much the best Jade player in the Asia region. They are going to be giving a show today when it comes to how to play a Jade. That is what they do. If they don't play Jade, they play Esmo. But today they're playing Jade. And people are going to probably want to know what the rights are. And the rights, there's the rights. Actually, going for the Two Shadows as well. But going for a bit more of a stealth focus. But I like that. You're going to see a lot of recast snipes.
Especially in this matchup.
Oh, yeah.
You want disengage, I think. Well, that disengage already forced. Look at the pressure coming through. Toomey will take the front lines, and they take a beating for it, find nothing in response. That's not a great start for SG Represent.
No, SG Represent is they're having a bit of a regroup here. They're able to get in, and we actually do see that some pressure has been brought from Tooney onto Natty, and ooh, not able to get that in cap there. The bullets stopping it.
Powers combined does come through. 2 hits will be found. Now Thunderstrike combos. Big damage found from Natty, and they have the response. Devilish is gone.
With that though, that's still, oh boy. Well, Cinna Bro, they've got the first round. They very strongly got the first round. We're seeing the combos you were talking about before that Freya can set up to allow Varesh to be disgusting. And let's see how disgusting Varesh was. The answer is actually not very. Puma got most of the damage. Natty got boatloads of protection. Lobster Lifer was able to do a fair bit of damage and just generally maintain a strong position, but ultimately not actually managing to find as much damage as their teammates, staying even. So really, Puma and Lobster Lifer just teamworking it up.
The difference between, without that Thunderstrike at the very end, Lobster Lifer has more damage. So
that's true. Lobster Lifer is definitely in a stronger position overall as a result of that. And of course, they're the back liner too, and they're super back liner. But Yane's kind of forced again in the front. Thanks to they just got pulled in. A counter.
Yeah, I don't imagine they're too pleased about that, but Yane's finally able to disengage, land a few snapshots, build the distance. That's what he's looking for. Now the pressure comes through to the orb, and it is again picked up by Cinna Bro, but they're still losing this trading game because they've finally been able to feel the wrath of Yane.
However, we do have the... Okay, there's the gust coming in. That's going to stop any Dance of the Dryads, but Natty is getting engaged now that they're open.
Lightning Strike finds nothing. Powers combined is on the board. Lobster Lifer waiting for the right time to do that. He's got the Wuju right into their midst. There's the ultimate. 1, 2 hits, not the third. Iframe comes through for Dance of the Dryads. It's not enough to save the player, though. Devilish still falls, and for the second time falls first.
That is surprising. Devilish is one of the best, if not the best, dueler melee players in the Asia region. Like I've seen some of their duels. They are absolutely sick when it comes to how they're able to just smartly use their cooldowns, smartly use their positioning. And this match, they're being focused down, tunneled really so hard. I think because their opponents know that if they leave them alone, Devilish is going to be able to go ham on anyone who tries to just brawl them directly.
And that's all it took. Burn down Devilish, get their support out of the game, and you're up 2-0.
Pretty much. And actually, that being said, though, Devilish is playing Blossom. I did point out that they're more the melee focus, but at this point, they are playing a support, which actually makes a lot more sense why you'd focus that down, because of course it's the support. I mean, if they were, I think if we see a switch in roster, we might see them switch over to Bako or switch over to Thorn, because those are two characters they're really strong with for those frontline brawls. And I feel like that is a bit of an issue that this team is having, that SG Represent just doesn't have a front line. I mean, we see Toonie trying to be that front line right now.
He'll go in on the Croak, not the traditional character, finds absolutely nothing on the first engage. Now, the stun combo comes through with the snipe, that's good value.
And that value is actually finding quite a bit of Lobster Life. You mentioned before, TJ focus that for Resh, and they're taking it, and the orb.
Deceit will find a combo as well. Toonie successfully engaging. He is losing a lot of HP for this, but it's worth it if they're able to find overall team value. And so far, I'd argue they are. Explosive Shells is on the board as well, if they can find the right timing.
Oof, but the Wuju's down. The Kinetic Strike's also down. Lobster Lifer is totally vulnerable, but Thunderstrike is forcing escapes.
Dance for the Drives does come through. Devilish trying to use it defensively, but he still falls again first, again early. That is not sustainable. Map 1 looks to be over because of it.
Oh, this entire map has been entirely the synergy we're talking about. We're just seeing Puma and Natty able to keep each other alive. We're seeing Lobster Lifer take advantage of the fact that they're not getting that focus because Puma is doing a great job playing the front line. And as much as we're seeing Yane and Toonie, actually the entire team, doing everything they can to deal the damage and getting those combos as best as they can, it's just that they're so pressured by Puma that it's impossible for them to really set those up in a way that they love. They're just able to get something, and then it's completely torn away from them. Just their dreams are absolutely crushed.
We said this team had to be a team that found a ton of stuns. We said SG Represents roster does best in a stun situation. How many stuns did you see there? I could probably count them on fingers.
Yeah, I saw 3 or 4. A lot of them Toonie coming in the back line, throwing a Deceit right at the start of the match. I think it was one snipe. There was a Boom Bloom that actually managed to hit, but unfortunately, Yane was stunned at the time, so they couldn't take advantage of it. But otherwise, there wasn't really much.
If you're not finding the stuns on your stun combo team, you're not finding success. And they didn't there. I want to see a more defensive look. If they stick with this composition, which it looks like they're going to, I want to see a more defensive look from them.
Yeah, so I'm going to be very curious what happens with that. So that's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a question of what map they're on as well, because they are trying to figure out between Mount Res Night and Blackstone Day what they'd rather play for this next round. And I think they're probably going to go for Blackstone, just because that is often used. But Mount Res Night, that being said, for the kind of composition we are seeing coming out from SG Represent, I could see them wanting to go for that for the way the walls are set up and the fact that they don't have as much in the way of pockets. They don't have to worry about being caught out in the corner where they're basically stuck and then they can't really escape. And it looks like that is exactly what's going to happen.
Night is functionally larger than Blackstone.
True.
Which sounds silly, but with Mount Arrows, you almost always have a space you can back up to, because you can kite almost indefinitely around the walls.
And when you have the Croak, that's especially useful.
Yeah. Champion repick call does come through, so we are seeing a change up in the rosters. I want to know, do you shift strategy completely here if you're SG Represent? Do you go, this stun composition didn't work out for us?
I mean, it's a little bit tricky because Toonie is pretty much the Croak. Yane is really good for Esmo or for Jade. But otherwise, I don't really see the whole lot of options that I know them to be able to do. I mean, Toonie probably has a bunch of other things up their sleeve as well as Yane. And like I said, Devilish really good in the melee. And just trying to think, because I almost feel like if there was a way that Devilish could go for that melee and Toonie on the support, like, I mean, something like Toonie going for Ulrich and Devilish going for Thorn, I could see that maybe working. Oh, with Freya's coming
First pick, Freya. I like this in theory. Giving more of a focus to the front line is a good choice because it gives them the opportunity to play a bit more of a slow game. You're not going to be rushed down if you have a Freya to hold your front line.
Exactly. But it does mean they aren't going to be able to do that attempt themselves, but it clearly did not work as well. And we are seeing Esmo for Yane as well. So I think we're going to see possibly a mirror matchup going forward here.
Mm-hmm. Both teams picking Freya. Tuni gets the Esmo, like you said, for Yane. That'll give them the opportunity to dive in, reset repeatedly, find damage, back out. That's what you want if you're slowing down the pace of the game and stopping what happened last time, which is your backline just being penetrated and destroyed. And
that's what I was expecting for Yane to play. Esmo, like I said, Yane is a good Esmo player as well. Their Jade is legendary.
Their support?
Their Esmo's great. Their support, hard to say, but we are seeing Varesh coming in as well. So it looks like we're not going to see a whole lot changing from Cinna Bro and Blossom as well. So Cinna Bro is going for the exact same setup they had last time. Or no, wait. Yes, that's right.
Don't fix what ain't broke.
Yeah. Freya Blossom Varesh. Freya Blossom Varesh.
The question is, what is the support on SG represent?
Man, that's a good question. I mean, Blossom seems to be very popular, but at this point, the way they're trying to play this, if you, like I said, slow down the game, I could see Pestilus. I could see potentially just stick with Blossom. I mean, other than that, heck, Pearl actually might not be a bad idea. Silence out the Varesh or silence out the Freya, and then, or use the bubbles to stop Varesh from being able to deal all the damage. I don't think we're going to see that, though, because, again, Pearl is not that popular.
The choice is weighing heavy on their minds as well. Just sitting there.
Just waiting.
I don't know. I don't know what you choose, because if you, Paloma comes through. So this is kind of the conundrum I was about to line out. If you go for something that is a more defensive character that can out-heal the Blossom, you run into the problem of all of those characters that are stronger in the healing category are much weaker in the kiting category. Paloma doesn't have much if they're not able to be defended. If Devilish can land some perfect defensive soul rifts for the panics, some good other sides defensively, they're powerful. That'll give them the ability to negate burst. But if they're caught out, if those cooldowns are down, they die incredibly quickly.
That's a fair point, but as I was mentioning before, Devilish is really good at the cooldowns. They're really good with counter management, so I imagine that we're actually going to see them be able to handle Paloma really well. I could see this actually being one of the best support options they could go for, considering their melee styles, and trying to translate that skill into the support arena, because if they're, you said if they're able to get the Spirit Rifts, I'm pretty sure they're going to be able to get the Spirit Rifts, especially considering Freya and Varesh have the counters, so the Spirit Rifts, those scare away counters, because of course the counters, if you're countering when a Spirit Rift happens, you immediately panic. There's no way out of it. You're considered using a move. And that means that you can't really do that near a Paloma that has that on cooldown, or off cooldown rather, if they had that ready.
So watch the Paloma. That's my key to the game, if you will. Watch the Paloma. If the Paloma does well, then I think SG represent will do well. If the Paloma is rushed down, burned down, destroyed in the early game, Cinna Bro win 2-0.
And that's exactly right. So I expect we are going to see a fair bit more of a defensive setup from Tuni. They're going to have that Freya, and that Freya is going to be doing everything it can to just keep their team from, getting torn to pieces. And when that happens, then we should be able to see a much more tactical game from both sides. I mean, the thing is that last game it was all or nothing. This game, it's going to be a bit slower.
Hey, Dominic.
Yo, what's up? Did I get that wrong again? What?
No, you just score. That's it.
Oh, right.
So, you got it. Don't worry. We're fine. We're good.
Okay, we got it. It was, Cinna Bro won last time.
One more game, and they walk away. Their ticket to the grand finals, $200 and something on the line. Scoreline still to be updated so far, as it's crowdfunded.
Yeah, so again, if you want to actually get in on helping out with the donation, or helping out with the prize pool, you can donate by putting in !donate in the chat. You'll get the link there, although it's currently in the chat right now, because the Battlerite Asia channel has been kind enough to make sure that it's available directly. So go to there, it's a Matcherino page, and just throw whatever money you feel like, and then that'll put you a little message, and then you can say things that you want to say, like Storku here, who says, "Hi everyone, hope this is enough to encourage everyone to play. Love you guys in the community, and don't be so negative," which was before the tournament started for $200. Most of the prize pool, actually, and they were knocked down the first round.
Storku with a $200 prize pool. That's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Round
Good
does
people.
begin though. Tuni, Yane, Devilish all playing defensively. Yane will provide forward pressure onto Toon. Oh, this is the crucial part. It's all on these next few moments.
Oof. I mean, getting knocked out, like you said, that is going to be a big deal, but Puma's getting heavily focused, and that's where it could become a bit of a problem. I mean, it's the Cinna Bro managed to get the orb, but if Puma doesn't survive, then there's not much for that.
Tuni's doing such a good job keeping Puma back. Down to the drives will come through. That's the benefit of that orb, but the other side's immediately there to negate it. And Yane and Devilish have been completely unscathed. The switch to bring up the Freya was so good.
Yeah, and actually, other side and Arcane Barrier. So Yane is just not taking damage, getting more ammo in the process. And now they split up Puma even more. Trying to 1v1 Devilish, but Devilish, like I said, they just know how to get away.
Oh, the iframe of Thunderstrike! Beautifully done. The Grimoire finds value as well. They have the follow-up. Natty is gone. Thunderstrike is available in response. It does find Tuni.
It does find Tuni, but Tuni was at a really good HP to begin with, so it wasn't a big deal. What they really wanted to get was Devilish, and Devilish had other side up, so it was no problem whatsoever. At this point, Puma might be able to get the cross kill, though. Ooh, they're not going to go.
Yane's in a lot of trouble. Lobster Life, though, will be the last player alive. Good follow-up. Devilish finding a kill in mid. Yane staying alive, and there you go. Round 1 to SG represent.
You are right, TJ. This composition is way better for SG represent. It's giving them so much room to play with, and Devilish in particular, they're doing exactly what I thought they'd do. Just play that careful game, know exactly how to play that 1v1, and whenever they're pressured, they're escaping, but they're escaping in a way that doesn't burn too many cooldowns, so they can keep escaping, which, really, that's what you need to do when you're dealing with melees, or any kind of rushdown setup. That's how you get away from them, is by not using too many escapes early on, and that way you just keep on going, and they can never catch up.
And that's all you needed, just a little bit more defense.
So at this point, again, we're having a bit more aggression coming in from Cinna Bro and SG represent just kiting away, but that's working fine.
That's all you need, just a little bit of kiting and allow Yane to do the work in the backlines. That's what he does now. Puma's counter has been baited out, and they have the follow-through. Devilish already sitting on other side has been forced, but that's fine. This orb will be picked up by Cinna Bro.
And Cinna Bro turning out to actually have a bit of a more aggressive streak than even I thought, and at this point, that is not paying off.
Yane trying to find value here, will throw out the Grimoire. Natty does have the iframe, does the drives, will come through. Thunderstrike likewise spent defensively. Now a very aggressive Ancestral Spirit comes through. The follow-up is there with powers combined. Big damage found from it. All 3 hits connecting. Yane needs to get out of here. And
Yane, that low HP between Yane and Tuni is going to be a bit of an issue going forward, because right now, they've got so low that they actually could be bursted down, any one of them, with the focus. But man, we're seeing Tuni make sure that does not happen.
Thunderstrike will be available soon. Right now, Yane and Devilish are the 2 with the ults. Natty joins them. Puma, entire roster of Cinna Bro do have their ults available. The iframe again comes through from Ancestral Spirit. Nicely done. Powers combined is here as well, but it finds absolutely nothing.
That being said,
big damage available though.
Devilish is so low. They have the other side down. They have
only thing.
No, it's gone. Their other side's gone. The Spirit Rift's up. That's all they've got. The Grimoire just barely helping out, but really that's just evening things out, but it might help.
Natty will be knocked very low as well. In cap will be found. Tuni converts the kill. Very well done. Lobster Life might be able to find the trade if they act quickly. They've got certainly the front line to provide it, but I don't think they have the damage. Not in the midst of all this. Puma will get his ultimate. He finds no connections. Power combined comes well as well. Oh, big damage. He gets all 3 hits. There's nothing left. They get 2. And now we're just about in an unwinnable situation. Tuni needs this trade. He finds the full value of his ultimate, but immediately hits the Wuju and can't get anything out of it. That was an insane powers combined.
Not just Wuju. It was also the shield. The inhibitor's guard came into the very beginning, and there's another shield looked like as well. So there was just no way they could actually set that up. Like, they did the damage, sure, but there was already so much shielding on Varesh, they could not get that 60 damage into a kill, which is a bit unfortunate, because of course that means that that's it, on the board. We have Cinna Bro back on the board, and again, they are 2 rounds away from taking this into the finals. At this point,
powers combined from Lobster.
Powers combined from Lobster. I've mentioned before, Varesh's powers combined is an absolute game changer. It's up there with Crippling Goo and Grimoire for an ultimate that you can use to simply win a match.
Well, the pressure is here again from Puma. And again, it's not going well. He takes a ton of early game damage.
And that's the thing. Puma's been getting in there very aggressive, getting in their faces, and for the most part, it's kind of paid off. But now Toonie is making sure it doesn't, or as best they can, but the orb is not going their way, and Puma still able to get some value as a result.
Full ults available though. Devilish and Yane both already ready to go.
Ooh, but Devilish, I mean, they're a bit farther away. That's the thing. Yane did have the Grimoire. Lob Slifer has nothing to stop it!
Oh, nice timing! Lightning Strike finds huge value! Yane's barely alive, and there's the dance to the right to come through. Other side, he's deployed defensively, but he's got nothing. Yane forced to commit to the mid, which leaves this Paloma open. A double kill in just about 2 seconds will come through, and there's the scoreline lead again in favor of Cinna Bro.
Wow, Cinna Bro just made that aggression you were talking about earlier with Puma turn into such a massive amount of value. At first, it looked like it was going to go either way because it was Toonie getting in there. They were managing to push back Puma and ultimately not take too much damage. But once the ultimates came out, once the Grimoire came out, it was not even the Grimoire so much. The Grimoire tried to do his job, but really it was once we saw the Lightning Strikes come out there, Lightning Strike combined with the Dance of the Dryads, making it impossible for Devilish and Yane to stay alive. At which point it's like Devilish had to just basically make Sophie's choice, choose to save their teammate, and end up getting themselves killed.
There's the pressure again coming through. Like clockwork, Puma dives in and takes a fair amount of damage. Yane has the response this time, but it's not finding as much value. Puma down to about half HP.
And with that, though, that is putting Yane on the front lines. There's Toonie back, but it's just a matter of whether or not they're able to get the orb.
And they do. Nicely done by Cinna Bro. They've got full ults across the board. Thunderstrike will come through first. No dodging that. Dance to the Drive finds huge value with powers combined as well. Lobster Lifer again finds a kill with his ult. You do have a response, but this cross kill needs to be darn near immediate. There's Thunderstrike. Grimoire as well. Lobster Life will get tagged by both of them. He's gone. That cross kill does come through. Nicely done.
Problem though, now needs to be the focus because they are the healer. If they're still alive, it's going to be very possible for SG Represent to just get torn apart by attrition alone.
And that's what it's looking like. Toonie with barely any HP does have the shielding. That'll keep up for now. Both green HP shards go to his name, but they don't get the orb. Thunderstrike does come through, and Yane will barely be able to walk out of it. But you can see just the cost of losing all of that HP. Toonie's got an ult. It needs to kill Puma.
And at this point, it's the last shot and there's no chance.
And there you go, 2-0 to Cinna Bro.
Cinna Bro going straight to the finals. They're going to be fighting the winner of, looks like it's going to be Boy Next. Oh, well, we already know that Boy Next Door won the one side. Is it Plish? It is Plish. Plish will be going to the army in 3 days. So this is the last tournament. But this tournament, the last tournament before they go to the army, will be up against Boy Next Door as they try to use that to fight their way into the finals and go against Cinna Bro. And they're basically, if they do win against Boy Next Door, it will be essentially the Korean championship for Battlerite Asia.
Appropriate enough. The Koreans dominating the region as they're supposed to, I'm told. We'll go to a quick break though. We'll be right back. I'm not sure if we'll get that second semi-final. I think we will. But either way, we'll be right back after a quick break. It's going to be jazz for a few minutes. When we return, the remainder of the Battlerite Asia $200 tournament number 6. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Battlerite Asia Tournament number 6 of a $224 crowd-funded prize pool today, and we're into the second semi-finals of the evening. It will be, if you're just joining us, Plish versus Boy Next Door. My name's TJ, joined by Dominic, and we've seen the draft.
We have seen the draft. It's going to be Paloma Ashka Freya versus Freya Blossom Older, which is actually something I want to talk about. We actually see a fair few times that double support comes in the Asian meta. Like, we had Varesh Ulrich actually last tournament a few times. Like, Varesh Ulrich, boy, that was a composition I'm kind of surprised we didn't see more of, because he got the... I'm sorry, not Varesh Ulrich, Xander Ulrich, because he got the Xander on the damage and the damage amplification, and the Ulrich on the damage reduction and the heal botting. And man, is that an effective composition. But now we're seeing Blossom Older, which is a similar idea. You have the heal bot support and you have the damage support.
And that's going to provide them with more survivability if they can stay at range. In a poking game, a team with double support will win every single time because they will do decent poke and better healing. In a rushdown game, things get spicy. Older and Blossom are two characters that can do decent damage, but I'm not sure how they'll fare if the melee pressure really comes onto them.
And that's the thing that Plish is going to be having to provide, and KJP as well, because that Ashka pressure coming in there, I mean, they're going to be throwing in the Firestorms, going to be throwing in a few bolts here and there. They can throw in the Firewall as well, just to make it a little bit more difficult for the damage to come in. They can't block healing, but they can at least do some extra damage on top of that. And, hey, why not just make it even harder for your opponents to get in?
Absolutely. Well, what do you think, I think, of the melees that have been chosen? We've ended up with predominantly Freya today.
People were pointing in the chat that Freya is actually a very popular pick, and I am not surprised. Freya is a very defensive pick. We've seen it in all regions, really. Freya has been used because she has strong shielding. She has a great way of just approaching, especially just by walking, honestly. And she's able to do a lot of damage and sustain damage. Like, she's not Shifu, but she's that same kind of sticky where she's able to get in there and you just can't do anything about it. And ultimately, she's able to get in there and out-trade in damage because that static means that she's dealing like 12 damage per hit, which is pretty much more than just about any other M1 in the game for melees. So really, she has a lot going for her. The only main weakness is if she's caught without her escapes in the front lines, or rather in her opponent's back lines, she's kind of screwed. But it's difficult against a good Frey to make that happen, as we're seeing now.
They do find the in-cap. Noob out, or being out-Freyed by placing the front lines just now, but the follow-up is just about even. Now this orb is very important, and it does get taken by Boy Next Door.
And Boy Next Door not gonna make all the value.
Thunderstrike finds big value. They've got that Ancestral Spirit as well. The second tick doesn't find damage, but it doesn't matter because they've forced the supports back. They've split them, and they're looking for the execute. This Infernal Scourge should find the kill, but it goes wide. They still find the follow-up. No trouble at all. Clarinet, in the meantime, has been hard split. Down to the Dryads from Tofu. Will find damage, but it's not enough, and Clarinet does find the disengage just fine.
Oh, but the way that Kang Junpyo was just handling that, I mean, they were in complete control of that match. We see Ashkas get in strong positions before, but Kang Junpyo was pretty much just playing by themselves. They were having all the fun in the world, and their opponents were having a very interactive time, as we like to call it.
They were interacting with the wall, primarily.
Primarily, yes, causing them to have a bit of a hard time actually getting away from the damage and ultimately away from their own demise. But I can imagine that going forward, we aren't going to see quite as much of that, because I'm guessing we're going to see Noob really play that frontline role, let the rest of their team hang back. Though we are also kind of seeing why double support tends not to be played as much.
Yeah, like we said, double support runs into trouble if any of the players are forced to stand alone, separated by pressure, and that's what's happened repeatedly here.
Noob gets in-capped against the wall, that is the key thing, or gets panicked. Whatever happens is always Noob is the first focus, then the pivot happens, and the orb going over!
Oh! Big Thunderstrike, and the follow-up! The hammer from across the map! Great read by Flish. They've got this Infernal Scourge. Time travel will negate it, but even this is the downside of double support. They lose one player. There is no way for them to find a cross kill without heroics. And down to the Dryads is not enough. They don't find the damage with it.
And that's the thing, is that Dance the Dryads, it's great. Time travel's great if you can get the stun, but that's where that orb came in, because yeah, the orb was taken, but that's the thing, it was taken by their opponents. And that just led to all the damage coming in, because as much as the supports have their ultimates, it's Kang Junpyo, it's that Infernal Scorch. That's what really set things up after the Thunder Strike, and both of those were set up because of the orb.
The storms on our
Plish reveling in their success, and I feel like it's only fair to put that round success on his shoulders, because man did he look good. Multiple rounds in a row, it's been his ults.
It's been his ult, it's been their hammers. That's the key thing, like, always look at the beginning of the match. What is happening to Noob, or what is happening, to Noob? When Noob gets up front, they get smacked by the hammer, they get in-cap. That's what sets everything up. And you just pay attention to that. Plish is going to be setting up again. Kang Junpyo sort of the target here, but Noob unable to really find as much connection while Plish is in the back lines going ham.
Plish will commit, finds damage like you say. Backing off though, both supports get rushed at this point.
And with that means that both supports are going to have a bit of a hard time. Noob, they're in front, but not to any avail!
This time it does find value and they try and double it down using that Ancestral Spirit as well, but no kills are found this time. Plish will be rebuffed. They're able to get most of the defensive line sorted, but Plish is still right on in here. Even the healing of a double support can't make up for a Freya just sitting on your backline. There's the Infernal Scourge as well. Won't find anything, but the pressure is unmistakably causing problems. Dance to the Dryads is available should this Blossom be able to last long enough.
And it looks like they will have that available. No, Thunderstrike stopping it.
Not at all. That's the answer. You can't last long at all in the middle of all that. 3-0, lightning fast, if you pardon the pun.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. Noob might go for that lightning strike, but ultimately the problem this round is that Noob just could not manage to find a lot of connections. They were doing what they could to basically try to output Plish, but Plish didn't even care. We didn't see that wall in cap. We just saw Plish go for the back lines. They wanted to take out the healers first, and that's exactly what they were able to do.
And, well, the scoreline says it all. Plish MVP, and rightfully so, with 732 damage.
It's just amazing. So, for a match that short, by the way, that's the sort of length we'd expect 400 damage, just for scale.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Rounds that short, 300, 400 damage on the frontline melee. It's about expected. And A large part of that is because you do have double support on the other side, so there's more HP to chew through, if that makes sense.
And that's the thing, because the healing does come in. It means that you can't deal as much max damage, and that is the key reason you'd go for double support, is because if you go for double support, well, that way you can win the chip game more easily. But it wasn't a chip game at all. I'm sure you noticed that, TJ, that was definitely the burstiest of burst games. The Ashka and Freya combo in particular just made it so bursty.
It was the Pringles of chip games. You thought it was chips, but it was actually a stack, and they all
like
broke at the same time when you reached in to get them.
Like a stack of like squished potatoes. It's not quite the same, is it?
Freya, the squished potato of Battlerite.
Although that being said, we do see Rygon being used instead this time around. With Nude, I mean, it looks like no real changes coming up for Cinna Bro, but... Sorry, not Cinna Bro, what am I saying? That's not Cinna Bro yet. Boy Next Door! None coming up from Boy Next Door yet, but at the same time, we are seeing Plish just decide to go for that Rygon Varesh. Paloma Varesh! TJ, we've gone back to 2017. We've gone back over a year. It's Rygon Paloma Varesh. Early access EU meta. That's what we're playing now.
Paloma Varesh is still terrifying, though.
Oh, yeah, totally is. I mean, it's not like it's any less terrifying than it used to be. It's just Xander and Ulrich became way more terrifying, and people started playing them a bunch. But Paloma Varesh, we might be here for a little while because, hey, poke games. We were talking about poke games before and how we might want to win the poke games, and now we're seeing the poke game being played by Plish has gone to the army in 3 days, or at least that's what it looks like. But quite frankly, knowing the way they play, I can't imagine it'll be that way for long.
The problem is, this is not going to be a defensive Paloma Varesh because Plish is on Rygon.
Exactly my point.
Play defense with Rygon. Rygon does best when he's got that lifesteal constantly, when he's got things hitting his parries, especially given that he's gone for the repost, right? He wants to be within melee range, constantly.
And that's going to be the thing, is they're going to be melee range, which means that the Paloma and the Varesh need to be reasonably close. This is Blackstone Day, though, so there is room to be roughly in melee range without being too far away from the rest of your team, which I imagine that's what Plish is going to do. But even with that, we've seen how Plish we'll see how Plish's team plays this. Sorry, the team's name is really long, so that throws me. But we'll see how Plish will be gone to the army in 3 days. It's very descriptive. It's very good to know. We will miss Plish because, my goodness, they're amazing at this game. And I almost kind of hope that we're going to see something like what we saw with StarCraft back in the day when Boxer was in the army, and just have a Korean Air Force Battlerite team. That'd be cool. Plish deserves that, the way they're playing this opening right now.
Yeah, already finding value. Plish will take the front lines, using these slicing wins to stay relevant to a 1v2 whilst Nude dives into the back. And, well, pays the price for it. Completely negated. Big damage coming through. Noob is barely alive, and Plish secures the orb for a side.
Ooh, and the split off the end cap, that's leaving Noob way in the open. They're the next target. Or possibly they're the next target. I mean, really, it's just Clarinet and Kanjin Pyo having a field day with Noob, while Plish makes the back line.
Ancestral Spirit will be deployed. Plish dives in. Watch out, though, because the Grimoire is available and will be again in just a moment. This orb is huge, and it's again taken by Plish and his allies. Noob has nothing. Grimoire won't find anything in return, but that's because they forced the other side. Plish will find the first kill. Now Powers Combined comes through. Doesn't find the damage they're looking for, but it forces a split.
And with that split, Plish is able to put Kotoda Tofu in a very awkward position, set up that split fully, and that should be the round. Woo, but there's a cross-kill opportunity on Clarinet.
Clarinet, yeah, very, very low. Spell block will be red. He's not quite dead as he's got the shielding from the inhibitor's guard, but he does fall in the end. And this is a Blossom Esmo. This is possible. If the Esmo can stay alive, the repost, though, will find the kill, leaving things in dire straits. Tiger Slash will miss. Dance of the Dryads is here defensively. Powers Combined, though, won't even be needed. As Plish turns that tofu into an excellently sliced dish.
And this is exactly what you were talking about, TJ. That aggression coming in there very immediately, just nothing stopping them. It was, I mean, really, look at the damage in the number. Look at Clarinet's damage numbers. I mean, this is Brazilian-style aggressive Paloma coming out of Clarinet right now.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason for a Clarinet to be playing defense the entire round because there isn't pressure going on to their members that would need to be defended.
Not at all. I mean, at this point, it's just the forward pressure. Again, we're gonna see Ringus getting hit. We're gonna see Noob probably getting hit because Noob's getting the front liner. But hey, they're just being ignored because why deal with them?
Plish's aren't committing 1v2 again.
And that 1v2, they're being careful about it. I like the fact that they're not staying it in too long when they know that their opponents could counter it. And now they know their opponents are out of the way. They're just get the orb and be done with it.
Thunderstrike is available. Nude, though, very low. Will spend it aggressively. Plish tanks it. He has the shielding. He's fine. Other side is used defensively by Clarinet as well. Watch that, because it means it's not available for Plish here as they get focused down and actually do take a sizable portion of damage.
I do like the Soul Transfer Clarinet threw in there, though. Great move to save their teammate.
Powers combined, one spent. Tiger Splash, I think, needs to be used here, and Plish wants to stay alive. He will instead opt for the Dragon Bomb, blowing back the damage coming through from down to the drive. Both HP shards up top are picked up by Nude. They're barely alive, even with that benefit, though. Electric shielding won't keep them up, as there is the follow-through from the Heavenly Strike, and Plish again picks up Noob as the first kill of the round.
And Plish over is the cross-kill opportunity, and it looks like that might be what's gone for if the Grimoire manages to get out, but it does not.
Grimoire not deployed in time, and indeed that'll be 2-0 for Plish, and possibly the same score in the series if they're able to pick up this next round.
And one more round, the way it's been going so far, Plish with that early aggression has been finding loads of value in the back line, just making it very difficult for Kotori Topher in particular to find all that healing. They're giving so much pressure. Their protection score is still really high, 722. They've been doing amazingly well considering the pressure they've had. But really the problem is that if they're not getting pressured, then Ringos gets pressured. And Noob, I felt like that was a complete ignoring of Noob. Did you see Noob get hit? Because I didn't see Noob get hit much. Just bypass completely.
In the early phase, yeah, and then he just got focused while he was stranded, which was lethal.
Oh, right, yeah, exactly. Once they got Kotori Tofu out in the corner, then you saw that, and we're seeing it again.
Clarinet hit down to half. Again, look at Noob just stranded here, split completely from the rest of the team. He'll try and take this opportunity to go for Orb, and isn't able to pick it up.
Ooh, but at the same time, KJP is a little bit out of position. They're able to escape, but that's going to mean that Plish is separated. That's the sort of separation they've managed to get on their
Tiger
opponents.
Slash! Clarinet, very low though, has overstayed their welcome. We'll need to use this ult basically immediately if Noob wants to hard commit, which they do. Grimoire will be spent on the Plish in the meantime to secure the orb for Boy Next Door, and they do pick it up. Noob, with no HP left though, is the real story, I think. He's just hard disengaging, frantically hoping for healing, and there's the Heavenly Strike combo, and he's gone.
And with that, Plish looks like they're going to be able to take this. I mean, hey, they're going to the army in 3 days. I mean, they kind of earned this. The amount of damage they've dealt, the amount of sheer pressure they've applied. Like, the fact that they're going to the army, it's a bit of a shame, but, I mean, that's what you got to do in South Korea because they have the draft because the Korean War is still technically going on. So, that is going to be Plish going on to the grand finals because, hey, they earned it. Like, that team whole, that was an absolute clinic in how you play an aggressive Paloma Varesh team and just generally the sort of control you can have on your opponents. So, yeah, the finals are going to be between... Hang on. The finals are going to be between Plish will be going to the army in 3 days, and Cinna Bro, with SG Represent and Boy Next Door fighting for 3rd place, and that is going to be the next match we cast. Is going to be that 3rd place match.
So don't go anywhere. SG Represent versus Boy Next Door should be a hell of a fun match as well, and we'll return with it in just about 2 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's Battlerite Asia number 6. We have 224 crowdfunded dollars on the line for this prize pool, and we are into the third place matchup. I mean, we talked about it prior to the break. SG Represent versus Boy Next Door should be a very fun match, and we've already got some of the draft coming through. Dominic, what do you make of it so far?
Well, both teams have fully picked. We have Freya, Esmo, Paloma, which we saw last time works out really well. At least Freya, Paloma. Actually, no, Freya, Esmo, Paloma. We did see that before, and that does work out reasonably well in theory against Esmo, Iva, Blossom, which we have not seen Iva today, and it's double ranged on top of that. How often do you ever see that?
Rarely, but Iva is one of the ranged characters you can make it work with because they are a shorter ranged character.
They are basically a melee ranged character. They've got that shotgun, they've got the taser to help a little bit in support in front, they got the shields. They have plenty of ways of staying in front and being sticky and not worrying too much about what damage they take because, again, they have their own shields, and that's a really useful thing to have. And they have the short shotgun. So, yeah, they're going to be the melee. That's going to be Noob again. I've been playing that melee frontline this entire time. They're going to be playing with the Iva.
Posing them.
I'm thinking Paloma, though.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be much of a problem just because this Paloma, we've seen it. It's been a good defensive Paloma.
Fair point. That is a very good point because that Paloma, I mean, as long as they're able to stay a little bit away from their opponents, not get too caught out, and not be forced to throw away that, or not throw away something necessarily, but not be forced to use that other side just because, then it will work out really well. But of course, that's all a matter of pressure. And pressure is exactly what Iva and Esmo together can provide. So I think that we're going to be seeing...
It is all about Devilish, again, and I've said this previously, it's almost always about the support, but especially a Paloma in a matchup like this. How much healing does Devilish do? How much pressure is Devilish under?
Yeah, and Devilish, oh boy, that's going to be the main target going forward. Because the thing is that you want to have that pressure. You want to make sure the other side is unable to happen, because if that's the case, well then Devilish either has to burn ultimate or get a really good soul transfer. And we've seen some soul transfers be used, but they just haven't always been timed out perfectly, which means that Devilish still has gotten hit. Or just anyone playing Paloma still gotten hit, not just Devilish. So ultimately, it's going to come down to whether or not that other side gets pulled away from Devilish's cooldown cycle before they want it to. And I think that will happen because, again, I mean, Esmo and Iva together. You have the display shots coming in there. You have the shotguns and the tasers from Iva. There are so many ways that both of them can just make it very difficult to keep that other side on or off cooldown.
Yeah, and already with early pressure, these Esmos have their work cut out for them on a small map like this.
And Esmo, we're already seeing, is forced back. Tooney, however, could actually get that orb at the same time if they're not too damaged.
Oh. They're just pushed further and further back. The tag knocks them almost completely out of the orb contest range. Yane, though, does still pick it up. Oh, that's a good Chaos Grip.
That's a very good Chaos Grip, and Yane's almost at the ultimate as well. And we are seeing a possible Paloma ultimate on top of that.
Thunderstrike will be available first, though. There it is, deployed. No HP left on Noob. Hammer for the in-cap. Devilish comes through as well for the Panic. There is nothing he can do, and Noob is gone.
And Yane's Grimoire is ready. They're just waiting for those escapes. It's not quite down yet. Actually, both sides have the Grimoires up. There's the displace. We should see a Grimoire anytime now.
Grimoire just being held on, though. They want to see defensive cooldowns before they spend it. Yane is having none of this, forcing the split. There's the Grimoire, needs to be used defensively, and as a result, the cooldowns are up. Nobody's tagged by a Dance of the Drives will come through for some damage, but not enough.
That Soul Transfer is able to finish it off. Yane, I like that Arcane Ward on Devilish, though. Make sure that Devilish did not take too much damage and could go for the kill. And that's just led to a very convincing opening round for SG Represent. I mean, Devilish. You said, TJ, Devilish is the key component there. And Devilish, 615 healing. They got all the score. They managed to actually do quite a lot with that soul transfer and just generally provide pressure. Like, we were worried they would be under pressure, but no, they were helping to provide that pressure and just make it impossible for Noob to really get any mileage.
Yeah, you saw at the very end there, they comboed well with Tooney just to lock down their escape options. They're playing very aggressive.
And to be fair, that's not entirely surprising. We are seeing that is somewhat the age in meta right now, is that you want to have that slightly aggressive defensive healer. What you normally think is defensive is now going to be on the front lines. However, Yane kind of making that point, but not working out especially well for their health.
Ringos pressing forward and again being forced back. The in-cap will be found. This orb is very important. The Chaos Grip will connect. Ringos finding big damage. He's almost already got that Grimoire, and that, of course, will be very important for this first orb secure. Down to the Dryads, gets nothing. Instantly cancelled out.
Ooh,
Oh, this Grimoire! That's good, and it does find value. Tuni's barely alive, but the Chaos Grip from Yane is almost got Nude. He will stay up. He's got the machine gun as well. That's now spent. Yane will eat up a ton of damage. He's pulled in, across the map, Chaos Grip, but he stays up. He stays alive, and now they look for this orb. They don't get it. Yane is one hit from death. One good combo. That Grimoire spent defensively and gets nothing.
And Yane almost went down to a tag as well. That's how low they are. Tuni is similarly low. And at this point, Devilish, that ultimate is the only thing they really have, and that soul transfer the use.
Oh, he goes in. He needs to. He spends the soul transfer just to keep his team alive, and that sacrifice is in vain. As his allies fall nonetheless, and it's 1-1, a tied scoreline.
So at this point, we do have a match. We have possibilities coming in here. We have that Iva Blossom pressure, the Iva Esmo pressure, although admittedly, we do see Kotoda Tofu take, well, mostly for protection. But yeah, it's the Iva Esmo pressure. That's what I'm really focused on here. It's like the sheer amount of push that Ringos and Noob managed to wring out of there and make it just so much harder for Devilish to really keep going, especially when that machine gun came out. Noob with that machine gun just... I'm surprised Yane didn't have, well, not surprised. Yane didn't have the Arcane Barrier because of the Blossom pressure. My initial statement was a bit more correct. The tag made Arcane Barrier go down, which meant that the machine gun was not going to be really contested.
No, it wasn't at all, and it found so much value. Again, the Arcane Barrier is baited out by both players. They just want to reset for now.
But that reset is going to mean the orb is going to go over to SG Represent if they're able to take it, if they want it. And it looks like they will manage afterwards. Go for that other Esmo. Can't take him out.
Devilish does indeed find it. Watch that pressure though, as he's again forced to go back. His Grimoire will come through. Devilish being burned alive. And oh my god,
Soul
the soul transfer at point blank range. It's a perfect iframe. Dots of the Dryads does come through, but because of that soul transfer, the other side's still up. It does not matter. He still falls. Noob will be able to get away from the Grimoire deployed against him. There's a second one. I think he's caught in this one, and he does take the damage, but he's able to get out.
Still, though, crossflow opportunity is available. There's the in-cap, but no lightning strike.
Tuni doesn't yet have it. He's one good hit away, and he can't find it. There are two very low HP opponents, and he can't find the connection for the life of him. Yane will have a recommit. He's coming in the mid, but there's just not enough HP left on any of these players to win this round. Well, my conclusion is supported by the evidence.
So at this point, we have one more round before Boy Next Door manages to get this first map. And my goodness, are they really showing themselves? I mean, that first round, it looked like it was going to be a tough time. It looked like Noob had no real way in. The last couple rounds, Noob has been just... Noob and Ringos have both been dancing around their opponents and feel like Ringos and Yane feel reasonably evenly matched. It's just that Yane gets pulled out of position slightly and then they just go for Tuni. But if we see Ringos get slightly out of position or lose cooldowns, well, Noob's just there to taser. Or if the Blossom's there, able to just throw in the Boom Bloom Seed. So it doesn't matter because the amount of crowd control coming in there is able to stop it.
Absolutely. It is just down to the follow-up after the initial cooldowns are spent. What is your plan B?
And plan B is going to be for Boy Next Door, just lock you down and stop you from doing anything.
Or will be picked up successfully by Boy Next Door. It was a narrow thing, but they did jack it from Tuni's grasping hammer. This does give them ults almost across the board.
And oh, this is going to be tricky. At this point, the orb might actually go over to the center. To the
Nude barely gets out. Now you have the Dance of the Dryads coming through defensively. You do have Ringos with his own ult, but he can't spend it. He's driven back by a panic. Noob again has nothing. He is, as a result, is playing so defensively that they have no way in. He'll now peek out, but the orb's already been taken. He's now isolated in a 1v2, and Yane is just chewing on his opponent. That will be the Grimoire connection. There is nothing left on Ringos. There is nothing left on Noob. They are so close to death, but they refuse to go down, and the other side's been spent, so Tuni's caught in it. The orb will, as a result, go their way. Tuni manages to get out, though, and as a result, I think Boy Next Door are down.
It does look like it. Toonie is a possible cross-kill opportunity, but they're hanging in the back. They know they don't have to get in if they don't really have to, and all they need to do is set up the ultimate kills and finish off the round in safety. This round 4 looking like round 1, where pretty much everyone's working out together, and Toonie, once they get damaged, they just let Devilish and Yane just handle everything. And so they did. Very well. Yane with 1,000 damage on top of that. And for the sheer amount of damage the rest of the team has dealt, yeah, that's really good.
Yane, the absolute MVP of that round, he took almost a frontline role in the middle of it.
Yane, which it doesn't surprise me because they are often playing Jade and they are playing Esmo as well, and they play those both fairly aggressively, and they are fairly aggressive ranged characters. So I like that. I like that it's working. But we have seen before already, it's not like Boy Next Door doesn't know how to deal with that. And I think if Boy Next Door is able to bait out the arcane barriers, they have a chance of getting in here and making Yane's life quite miserable.
It comes down to this for game 1. They are looking for it. The connections from the Boomblin Seeds are not enough to find a significant opening, though. This orb means everything in the early game. Boy Next Door desperately want to control it, but it's stolen out from under them by Toonie.
SG represent with that one orb. That's allowing them to really push out everyone from the center and really allowing them to separate Korore Tofu in particular.
Tofu from Boy Next Door is indeed hard split. This Ancestral Spirit will find value. Indeed a kill as the shock's applied. The damage found from it will separate Noob as well. He's only got that traction beam defensively. The tome reads him like a book. There is no cross kill opportunity, and game 1 looks good for SG represent.
I mean, you're right, TJ. That orb really defined everything. Once they managed to get that, the pressure was on. The separation was on, and from there, Tofu had nothing left because really, once Tofu got separated, the rest of the team could be killed. I really enjoyed the way they were doing that. Like, just have the one distraction, and then let everyone else tear apart Nude, and then let everyone else tear apart Ringost, and then when you're done, wait. Oh, sorry. Let everyone tear apart Ringost, and then get rid of Korore Tofu at the very end. All they need to do is make sure the healing doesn't happen. That's all that matters. And even then, Korore Tofu still managed to actually get quite a bit of protection. But if we look at the scores previous rounds, yeah, they had 400 in the last round, and they had in excess of 700 for pretty much every previous round. So the strategy paid off. And now SG represent, they have only one more map left to get 3rd place.
Can I get a Yane PogChamp in the chat? Because that man had a game. SG of 1-0. Drafting comes to, do you see a repick?
I do see a repick. Toonie is calling for a repick. Toonie of all people, too. Interesting, because they were doing quite well with their composition.
Despite a dominant victory with a composition that I would think wouldn't be favored on the map they were playing on, they will first pick Esmo.
Really? On Ormond Temple, you don't think of Freya's favored?
I don't think that the Esmo is favored.
Oh, fair enough. Yes, that's a fair point. But I think the Freya
obviously has a field day on Ormond.
Yeah, and that was carrying a lot. Like, Toonie was doing a great job just pushing forward and making sure that that pressure was applied. As we noticed, they would apply the pressure, make sure that their opponents didn't really have a comfortable place to sit, and then once they got damaged, they'd hang back, and that was when Esmo and Paloma could do their job against a weakened opponent team. And that's exactly what we saw, and it worked beautifully. And we are seeing that possibly again.
Yeah, the Paloma comes through second. This might have been a fake out. Blossom Esmo opposed them so far. The Esmo and the Blossom, both these teams actually just sticking to what worked.
It looks like it. We're not sure what's going to happen in the last pick, though. They picked Freya last time. And now it's going to be interesting because I don't know if they're going to be picking Freya again. I mean, there's no reason not to, but at the same time, they might just decide, hey, well, we didn't pick Freya first. We don't have to pick it again. They're going for the Iva. Maybe they just don't feel comfortable. It was a 3-2 match. It's worth noting. I mean, they were pushed down to the wire.
Iva will be the pick. Noob wanting the same roster precisely. Toonie, the final pick. Otherwise, it's going to be exact salty run back if this is a Freya.
That would be a thing, but at the same time, we could see a Croak. I mean, they are up one map. Toonie might just decide, you know what? This might work. Throw in the Croak, let the Paloma and Esmo follow up. I mean, hey, it's an option. And Toonie's a really good Croak player, so I could see them possibly going for it. And again, they're one map up, so they can afford it.
Here's my word of the day. I don't like Blossom. I've thought it through.
Called
it. Heard, there's the Croak as you predict. I don't like the Blossom because I don't think the Blossom synergizes and provides value in a way that literally any other support in the game does.
I agree. Blossom is good for stun-based combos, but the thing was, you haven't seen a whole lot of stun-based compositions really work in the last few months. I mean, ever since we saw, I want to say Destiny, but I'd say more so Xander, it's just been impossible for Blossom to really synergize with anyone because it's been impossible for them to set up the damage that other supports can't just set up better. Which I find surprising. We aren't seeing any Xanders here.
The current global meta moves too quickly for a Blossom to be relevant.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that it's too easy to get out of those bad situations. It's too easy to be put in a situation where the Blossom is in that tough, tight spot where they're being completely destroyed. And it's not so true of the person the Blossom is trying to boom bloom seed to synergize with the rest of their team on.
Let's talk Croak, though. The Pepe himself comes through. How does that change things?
On this team composition, I really don't know, because the thing is, normally we see a Croak in a composition that's able to make that deceit and make that combo, or make that camouflage part of the combo. Now, Yane could Chaos Grip off of the deceit. Yes. Chaos Grip off the deceit into camouflage, I could see. That's a decent amount of damage. It's not snipe level, but it's still 30 damage for free. Devilish, I'm just thinking, they might throw Wolf as well. We might see a Chaos Grip Wolf just on the same person as they're in-capped, simultaneously hitting them. That's 50 damage right off the bat. That could actually be something. It'd be a hell of a coordination between the three players, but I'm sure they could do it.
Yeah, I mean, the magical thing I think we're, of course, not addressing is that we do have... Sorry, I'm looking at some rights. Yeah, we do have Phantasm in play. So that means Spirit Guide, if you can apply it to somebody, they'll take 20% more damage or 33% less damage, depending on if they're an ally or an opponent. And as a result, you can see some sick burst combos with that.
Oh, okay, so here's the thing. What I said before, make that 60 damage if they pull that off. The Spirit, the Ghost Wolf combined with the Chaos Grip with the Phantasm applied in the end cap. That's an instant 60 damage. That's a Freya ultimate. That's a static Freya ultimate with no meter spent. Just some good setup. Or sorry, some meter spent. The deceit is spent. That's true.
Toonie will be starting off finding stuns. They don't have any crazy follow-up combos yet, but why do you need it just yet? He just needs to form harass, keep Noob on his toes. That's enough for now.
And that's all they need, although the orb going over to the boy next door does mean it's a little bit difficult, but hey, there's Katoria taking the dip pressure.
Down to the Dryads, does come through, panicked out right off the bat. They do have follow-up, but it's not enough.
It's enough to get the separation. Noob is out of position slightly, and it's hard for Katoria Tofu, if not impossible, for them to be healed.
Stun will be found. There's the Chaos Grip combo attempted. Yane doesn't find the target. Grimoire for the orb with the Ghost Wolf combo is nice. Noob's badly split. They do have full EX meter, but I imagine that's spent defensively. Oh, the Venom Wind! That is huge, but he iframes it. Noob has nothing left. Toonie, though, in a similar boat. Excellent use of the Ancestral Spirit. Will be deployed aggressively for the first and second kills. Make that 3 as Boy Next Door are pinned into a pocket. And it is a bottomless abyss of death.
So one thing I really want to point out here, we have a bunch of damage being dealt. Venom Wind dealt 94 damage dealt by Venom. I think that's both Venom Wind and the Venom and the blades. But we have Grimoire of Chaos 180 and this Ancestral Spirit finding 60. Every ultimate coming out from SG Represent was able to find loads of value. And that 180, that means the entire team was hit by that one Grimoire from Yane. Amazing value coming out from those ultimates. That's not something you normally see, but the positioning, the knowledge of when their opponents were vulnerable was exploited to the fullest by SG Represent.
Yane absolutely showing off his skill there, and the monitoring of their opponent's meters. There's the beginning of that combo we were talking about. Stun into Chaos Grip, camouflage into Soul Transfer. Whoa. Devilish playing aggro off of it.
I mean, hey, we've seen that before. Devilish loves to play the aggro melee, play melee Paloma. It's working out really well, and they're able to get the orb off of that pressure too.
Nothing's left. And just like that, the Esmo's gone. Other side's there as well to allow a reset from Toonie playing aggro on the Croak. They're trying to find a trade. Yane, the obvious target for it, though, will stay mobile, and the panic is there to deny the full cast of the Dance with the Dryads. I think that's round 2.
Round 2 with so much momentum that I'm really curious what we're going to see in round 3 coming out from Boy Next Door, because right now Boy Next Door, oh boy, I'm not envying them right now because the situation they're in, I'm sure it just feels like they have no options. I mean, Toonie coming in with that Croak, just making it impossible for them to do anything. They're not playing the combo Croak, they're playing Disruption Croak. And when you're playing with a Blossom, Disruption Croak is an absolute nightmare to deal with. I mean, what are they going to do? They can taser it if they can find it, but they're not able to find it because Toonie has been just amazing at their positioning. So watch where they are relative to walls and watch their frog leaps as well. So that's their main way of getting in when they don't have camouflage, or even just to get in to deal that extra damage.
Round starts off with Yana giving a stark reminder as to his presence, a Chaos Grip across the map.
I mean, that's Yane. Yane is amazing. We've talked about this before, and that's why.
He may have bitten on more than he can chew this time, though, as he commits hard, spends both displaces. Other side will be spent as well by Devilish just to stay alive as the pressure mounts onto him, but they go aggressive instead, forcing Nude to spend his jetpack for a disengage. This orb is anyone's.
It is anyone's, but the pressure applied onto Boy Next Door is actually, it's paying off fairly well. Noob is still taking damage, and the more important thing is no one's going for that orb except the Grimoire.
Very nicely done. Ringos will pick it up as a result of that Grimoire. However, Noob has no HP left, and there is no healer next to him. Yane tickles the air right next to him. Tofu will get there in time to heal him back up to max. That max, though, is very little HP indeed. A grand total of 52. They do have the Chaos Grip to deny the kill that Toonie's looking for. He'll find the deceit now, though. A double stun. Noob stays alive. Tractor Beam keeps him up, and Yane is held at bay. He will fall. The orb is picked up successfully now against them. With Toonie down, Yane and Devilish need to play this very carefully.
They have double ultimate. That's their main option. We should see a Grimoire and Ancestral Spirit combo come in fairly shortly, although there's the Soul Transfer that might stop it. But the more important thing to me...
Devilish blew a lot of his meter.
That is...
nothing for that.
Yes. And now the orb. Oh man, this entire game, that hinged on that first orb. If that first orb was not picked up by Boy Next Door, Noob would have died.
Grimoire does find value, that Grimoire. However, they're just so low at this point. Soul Transfer will allow Devilish to grab both these greens. That's not bad at all, but I don't think he's the HP to survive that. Cannonball combo takes him out of the game. Yane, now's the time. We've been talking you up. Grimoire will find value, I think. Ringos will take the full brunt of it, but on the board, our Boy Next Door.
I mean, hey, like I said, orb control, that early orb control, and Noob not getting killed. I mean, granted, you don't usually want to chase down somebody, especially in Iva, especially in that position where they were in the bottom right corner of the map and the rest of your team was in the center. I agree with the decisions that were made by SU Represent, but it was a really good choice for Kotori Tofu to get back and help Noob out, because Noob, they had their full meter, so they could actually have a lot of options to work with. And they took full advantage of it, just flamethrowing their way back into that round and becoming the reason that the victory happened in the first place was that they did not die because of the orb. So beautifully done there.
Toonie again looking for value in the backlines, but it's not going his way. He's much less effective right now.
Yeah, they are having a much harder time. They're being scouted out more. However, those Toxin Blades coming in there, oh, Noob, already at half HP.
That's acceptable if they can find trades, but they're not finding those trades with the value provided. Grimoire won't find anything, though. That's not bad, managing to force that ult for nothing in response if they can find a follow-up. And again, Boy Next Door are struggling with that.
Kotori Tofu taking all that pressure.
Chaos Grip. Ghost Wolf will find the kill. There's nothing left. This Grimoire just needs to be spent defensively, and Toonie will survive it, dodging it easily. It is all. The tournament is on Noob, and the man lives up to his name. It's 3-1 in favor of SG Represent.
SG Represent with Toonie on that Croak. We weren't sure. Maybe they should go for Freya. Freya's the way you go. Freya's the meta pick. And then Toonie goes on Croak and makes an even 3-2 match we weren't sure about. Become 3-1 and very nearly a sweep. So I really like the choice coming from Toonie there, getting them third place. And third place, by the way, that is going to be two tournament chests for each of them, plus 3 gold chests for each. Fourth place, you only get 2 gold chests each, along with the 2 tournament chests. So, hey, nicely done. You earned your team an extra gold chest each, and I believe some larger share of the winnings, but the numbers winnings haven't been totally sorted out, so I'm not entirely sure how that's distributed. But the chests, I am sure. Toonie just earned them an extra chest.
But that is the third place match. We do still have the grand final. The Korean play-in. Plesh will be going to the army soon versus Cinna Bro. The grand final for the lion's share of the prize pool between those two Korean teams. When we return in just a few moments, I'm going to go get some water, reset. I recommend you grab some popcorn, because this grand final will be theatrical. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's the Battlerite Asia number 6 grand final, the Korean playoff. My name is TJ, still joined by Dominic. We are still getting into this. The playoff, the Korean playoff, as I referenced, is between Cinna Bro and Plish. Will be going to the army soon. Longer name for a long history within the scene. Dominic, if I made you predict it right now, who wins this final?
Political Army. I'm actually rather surprised and impressed at Cinna Bro for getting as far as they have, but Political Army has just been showing themselves to be a league above everywhere else. It's been amazing how well they've been able to play this. And honestly, I expect we're going to see Plish in particular just show how aggressive they can be. They are in Varesh right now, which is a bit of a shift. In fact, we are seeing Varesh Ashka Paloma double ranged again, which is something we only really see in Asia meta these days.
You didn't hesitate.
Not at all, no. I mean, also, I really kind of want them to, because just considering that Plish, they're not going to be able to play any more tournaments for a while. I mean, they're going to the Army in 3 days. That's for 2 years.
It is the story, isn't it? Plish, the send-off that he deserves, perhaps.
So with that, I really kind of hope they win, just to give them something to go into the barracks with, go into boot camp with, just to know, you know what, 2 years and doing this thing for my country, but hey, I managed to win an Asian battle. I managed to just completely wipe the floor in the Battlerite tournaments locally. Yeah, I can do this stuff. We got something to look forward to when we're done this.
When he comes out, BPL will be in Korea.
Yeah, hopefully by then.
He'll have a lot to look forward to. There you go. Double stun will be found. Plish, maybe. We're getting ahead of ourselves because he's just been pressed back. They will push forward in turn for this orb though, and they do get it. Yeah,
look at the way that crush and shatter is being used, just to completely dominate and force back Puma. I mean, you said there's pressure being put on Plish, but I feel like Plish has just judoed that back beautifully.
Infernal Scorch will come through. Puma spends Thunderstrike, gets nothing with it. Kinetic Strike is already deployed to dodge the attack, and instantly that Freya is gone.
And with that, that's going to be 3v2 right off the bat. We're seeing exactly what I was talking about. Plish, just the sheer amount of damage they're putting in there, and Kenjum Kill as well. It's just providing so much additional damage. This is why you get the double range. You want to get that extra damage to come in right off the bat, and it makes it way harder for your opponents to get set up if they're dead.
Time travel is available. Lobster might need to spend it awfully quickly. I think he does, but he's already spent the EX. He has nothing. And there's round 1. Plish up 1-0.
By the way, this is, of course, win score 5. The teams decided to go for that. It was a mutual agreement thing, but that is going to be a bit of a longer setup. However, right now, Plish will go Army is definitely on top. Very convincing win coming out there against a double support team as well, which is something we talked about earlier, which is also something we see fairly frequently in this meta, is the double support. Older and Ulrich, which I can see. We mentioned before, Older's kind of damagey, Ulrich's kind of defensy.
Both characters have the potential to synergize well with each other. They're aggressive supports.
And that's exactly what we saw, but then again, Puma was taking a lot of that aggression and taking a lot of the damage. And again, there's Plish just in the frontline role as a Varesh. How often do you hear frontline Varesh, especially if they're making it work so well?
First orb does go again to Plish, and they're just doing a great job holding the line here. You can see Puma desperately trying to get in, but already there's an Ancestral Spirit deployed, and he has the Thunderstrike. What can you do with it in a situation like this, though? Infernal Scorch will come through. No HP remains.
And the other Thunderstrike, ooh, there's powers combined, but it's a little bit late to avoid the Thunderstrike. Still, though, it does manage to find that damage that we talked before, where powers combined can win games, but it may not be enough. Puma. No, never mind.
Oh my god! What HP! He manages to live it, though, and presses forward indeed now with the shielding. Maybe he can stay alive, but there's a Soul Drain instantly deployed. He is gone!
Did you see that crush, TJ? Plish just knocking the crush to push Natty into a great position for the Firestorm Bolt to finish them off. Amazing team synergy from that. That's exactly why Plish Army has been doing so well. Their coordination has been unparalleled.
1-0, now 2-0 is the lead.
2-0 right off of just a couple very strong opening pressure rounds from Plish Army, and that is what I expected. That's why I was not hesitating when you asked me to predict the winner, because that's exactly what I expected was going to happen. Immediately, we'd see Plish come in there, and just, or the political army, the whole team, come in there and make this look like it's easy, which it isn't. It really is not. Not to put any shade in Cinna Bro, they're doing a fine job holding on. It's just that we're seeing Plish just completely command the match. Like we saw this before, Kenchampio and Plish both completely controlling the momentum of the match, completely controlling their opponents. It's like they're playing 6 players. They're playing all 6 players at once, just about.
Well, it's paying off. You can see Navi right off the bat tries to check in, lean in, takes a ton of damage. They do have a response. The Condemn finally finds value, and this should give the first orb of the entire game to Cinna Bro.
Cinna Bro finally managing to pull that, and in that, I mean, they get 2 ultimates.
Thunderstrike. Damage from it. Instant Molten Chains petrify in response, though. They don't want any sort of momentum being gathered.
And that's exactly what they need to make sure it doesn't happen, but there's powers combined, and that is momentum in a can. So once that gets set up, it could be huge.
The orb, though, is picked up. Great zoning coming through again from Cinna Bro. The problem is they're losing the HP on Natty. He's got nothing left. Powers combined will be deployed. There's the dodge. Infernal Scourge, likewise, dodged again. Thunderstrike will find value. Plish is very low. Quicksand is chipping away at his HP. He should go down, but he doesn't. Other side's deployed, and he stays alive, at least for now. Aegis will not be used. Time travel needs to be spent just to keep him alive. He spends an aggro and does get a stun from it, but with his low HP, instantly needs to retreat.
And that means that Plish still has opportunity there. Might go down now, but another other side? This is Thunderstrike.
Thunder! Oh! He doesn't get it! The Thunderstrike lands on Plish, and Plish again survives. And now look at the separation. The Ulrich's gone. Natty has fallen. Puma on 17 HP has no healers.
And there they go. It's now 3v1 against an older, and the orb finally goes over to Political Army. But man, Plish. I mean, not just Plish, I really got to credit Clarinet. We haven't talked about Clarinet enough, but that Paloma play there, that other side was amazingly timed.
How is Plish still alive?
Clarinet's other side, that's how Plish is still alive.
Clarinet played them, I don't know, like a clarinet, but definitely like a fiddle. You could see he held on to that other side to the very last moment.
And that's the thing you got to do, and that's the thing that Clarinet does so well. Like, that's the thing that the entire team is doing well, is they're just being very conservative with their cooldowns, which that's what you got to do. Because once you lose the cooldowns, there's nothing to really stop your opponents from getting in. When you're dealing with 2 melees, you're dealing with Ulrich and Freya, it's important, it's imperative to be very careful with your cooldowns to make sure that they can't stay in.
Ashka already receiving pressure, needs to play this carefully. Plish likewise in a bad situation. But they do have a follow-up pressure across the board coming through. This is the zoning we saw last round. Cinna Bro doing a very good job of it.
And Cinna Bro is going to be finding that orb at the very least. That's momentum. I guess I'm a little bit closer to the ultimates. We are very close to a Thunderstrike actually from Puma, but they're just having a hard time actually finding any basic attacks.
Powers combined will go through. Natty taking a ton of damage. Dodges with the Condemn, but staying alive is all he's managing to do right now.
And that's more than enough, though, as Natty is able to regroup with their team. And if Lobslifer... Oof! No!
Oh! He doesn't get the orb with the Thunderstrike, and he was counting on it, and as a result, he's read like a book. The second he comes down from the heavens, he's struck down even further, I guess, to the underworld. Infernal Scourge will pick up the next kill. We said earlier, Natty barely staying alive. He does stay alive, but now it's match point, or game point, rather, for Plish.
Yeah, this is best of 3, so whoever wins this, they just go up by 1 point. It's still another map at least, possibly 2. This is not over yet, but it is still a very tense situation. I mean, Cinna Bro right now, they are 1 round away from losing the map. That's not what they want to be in, and I expect they're going to be changing their composition either way.
I mean, this just isn't working. There's no science that needs to be put into that.
No, double support is a risky thing. It's like, it's great for dealing with some pressure and pokey pressure that you can deal with. And you'd think Paloma Breath should be pokey pressure. Normally it is, but today, no. Today it's very much bursty, as those shatters coming in there from Plish have been doing so much burst damage work.
Pressure. Quicksand does find value. This is again zoning for the orb.
And that orb does look to be in favor of Boy Next Door. Ooh, no, I mean Cinna Bro. And no, it doesn't happen. Thanks for that ultimate. That power's combined coming in there from Plish.
Time travel is available. Thunderstrike as well. If they can use the timing on it, it would be perfect. Unfortunately, the caster of the time travel, the Older, is in big trouble. Thunderstrike will be spent. Other side is there, though. The Ashka takes no damage from it. Time travel needs to be deployed, I think, defensively in order to solve all the damage that's about to be found onto Natty, but he stays alive through it all just with good use of a Condemn. Now the Infernal Scorch will come through. Nothing found on that either. Other side needs to be deployed offensively as Pro takes big damage.
And this is actually rather turning around. Cinna Bro is finding momentum. They could be able to get Kanjipyo down. If they do, that could be putting them on the board.
Problem is they don't have much of an answer. They need the orb basically in order to get the damage they need, and that crush is so irritating to deal with. This Thunderstrike that again doesn't find value. They force the other side, but not much else. Lobster is still sitting on his own time travel, and you can't blame him for it. They might need it for a situation like this. Plish will be... Oh, he still gets the powers combined. 1 hit, 2 hits, that's all.
But they're so out of position. The Wooge is getting them back in, but that last shot made them basically have to man-fight Lobster Lifer, and that's just led them into 3v1.
Cinna Bro again gets the orb from that, so they're not hazing their current situation. The problem is they're still behind on HP on a few of their frontline members, particularly Natty, who's barely alive. Time travel will be deployed. The other side is already there. Or sorry, powers combined. 1, 2, 3 hits. It's looking for more. Thunderstrike needs to be used defensively. It's not enough. Plish will find the intervention. He connects. And now, well, I think this is game 1.
That was so risky, though. Plish going with the powers combined just into enemy lines. Managed to get a lot of value, I'll grant you, but still, into enemy lines. And only with that great Wuju that they threw out, like, basically stopping the Aegis from damaging them, were they able to set themselves up for a position where they could get that double kill. But, man.
Deleting an Aegis with counter.
Yeah, that was the key. That was absolutely key at the very end, because otherwise, I could have seen that go the entire other way, and we would have seen another round. It would have been Cinna Bro on the board, but now, no. Plish is going army. They're up by 1.
A clean sweep in round 1. I can't read the lobby chat. I don't know.
I can't read it fast enough, honestly.
Changes.
My Korean is not great. Sorry.
My Korean is non-existent, so hey.
I mean, the writing system itself is the easiest writing system in the world to learn. It's just, if you don't know the language, it's still not easy because you don't know what the words are saying. You just know what the letters sound like. Which is helpful, but not everything.
The fact that Dominic is like just a guy who learns languages and is like, oh, it's a pretty easy language to learn.
No, it really is. Like, it's designed to be like easy to learn. The entire shape structure is built around like how it is in your mouth. You just look at the shapes and go, oh, that's the shape my tongue makes, or that's the shape my back of my throat makes, or stuff like that. So yeah.
Mind-blowing to me. Anyway. We are getting on, I assume, to the next lobby. Again, unfortunately, I can't provide you much context for this. Although, to be fair, the people watching are more likely to speak Korean than me, so...
That's true.
You just tell me in the chat what's up. Ah! They're saying that they're giving the game away for free because they want Flesh to feel good before he goes into the military. Right.
Oh.
Solid bants. 10 out of 10.
Well, don't let them win. I mean, I got a bit of a challenge, so it's somewhat earned.
You know, Dominic, that's actually... Remember that one time when you won a game versus me?
Yeah.
In our 1v1s? That was... I was letting you win before you went into the Canadian military.
Okay, that's 2 levels of bullshit there. I have no plans to join the Canadian military, and I was working hard for that win.
Isn't the draft active?
Goodness, no.
Climate will be the first
we haven't had any military law since
through.
1970, let alone a war. Last war was Korea, and I don't think that was drafted.
Oh, a Thorn coming through
Actually,
as well.
But that wasn't drafted.
Blossom backing it up.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of Thorns. The chat was actually pointing that out, that no Thorns had been picked thus far, which I was surprised by too, because I was expecting Devilish to go for Thorn. We didn't see them do Thorn. But we are indeed seeing Puma go for Thorn.
I'm excited
not Puma,
for the
Lobster
Thorn.
Lifer. Lobster Lifer.
I don't know if Thorn, Alicia, Blossom is the answer to what was happening to them last game, though.
Yeah,
Like,
we
I
saw this.
don't feel like that's a solid answer, and I, more to the point, feel like Freya is going to eat this Thorn alive.
Didn't we see this at the beginning? Alicia, Blossom, and Rook. Not Thorn, but Rook.
Yes.
Was the very first match today. Bit of interesting. Really, Devilish doesn't go for Thorn? I thought they did. Okay, that's maybe just Bako then. Anyway, the point is that the Thorn here is definitely new, but it's also very similar to what we saw, and I like it though. We didn't see the Rook do a very good job. Just it was having a hard time synergizing with the team. But I think Thorn, they're able to hang back. They're able to stick with Blossom and stick with the Alicia because they're going to be throwing out the Entangling Roots. They're going to be throwing out the Evil Clutches, and that's a great setup for the rest of the team to go get that damage in. And they're not risking their lives in the process, which is extremely handy.
And, well, we'll have to see. My question is, of course, going to be, what does the Thorn find in terms of their aggression? Because Thorn, the place where they can struggle, I think, is Thorn can be terrible for map control, because you can burn down a Thorn if they commit and spend their Barn Tusk and Burrow.
And that's the thing that we have seen, but at the same time, I feel like the Thorns we've seen, the good Thorns, like the Thorns we've seen in tournaments. Well, I mean, Lobster Life, I'm sure, is a good Thorn, and they have been very skilled at making sure they aren't in that bad position. They've been careful. They made sure that they're able to have a slow push forward to make sure that they may have a hard time getting map control compared to other melees, but they're not going to let the map control go away for free.
How do you manage cooldowns against a team that looks as good as Fleshthorn? And, well, a team that's looking as aggressive as Flesh.
That's the thing, is that, well, Flish now on Freya, bit of a change up from last time. No longer double ranged, but it's still finding loads of value as the orb looks like it's free.
They were being zoned out in mid last game. Flish is quite tired of that. Lightning Strike does come through darn near instantly, and actually they're losing Clarinet because of it. Clarinet is barely alive. Oh, the Infernal Scorch as well doesn't get much. Other side has been spent, and there's a hard push on the Clarinet. The panic will come through. Lobster Life pushed back. Frozen Gallery, though, does find the kill. And there you go. The first round is on the board for Cinna Bro.
Wow, Cinna Bro took that so convincingly. I mean, Lobster Life are especially managing to just do exactly what I said, just take control over the round. They didn't necessarily need map control because all they needed to do was keep their opponents separated. Considering most of that fight was inside the spawn for Cinna Bro, it really worked out for them that they were playing defensive.
They finally got to Clarinet.
Huh. Well,
it's been a long time coming. They've definitely been trying to target him, and Plish has been playing excellent defense. They finally just connected with Clarinet, bit in, and didn't let go.
I mean, they certainly did, and then we're pointing out, Twitch pointing out that the round here is backing up the statement earlier about basically being the last one being a free win given to them by Cinna Bro, and that now Blitz Army's having a harder time. Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a much more even match than it was in the previous round. But I also say that composition and map help that, especially as we're seeing Puma have a very difficult time staying alive. So, giving a win or not, it's very clear that Pishogar Army has definitely got the skills to be up here.
Plish charges forward and tries to make the connection against Puma in the early phase of the round. Doesn't go his way. Now he's got to recommit, though, and the ultimate is now in hand. He knows that his opponents have dodges, though, so he just wants to play aggro, force those cooldowns, then spend the ultimate. He's just seen one.
And there's
Puma,
the other.
Apparently not his target. Frozen Gallery will be deployed defensively. Other side is there to negate it, and he's already found the kill.
And with that, Pishogar Army proving that they actually are good at this game. They're not going to be just doing it for free. They've got this. And Lobster Lifer definitely going to be trying their best, but ultimately that just came down to the pressure on Puma. Early pressure on Puma, deciding pretty much the entire round, as Puma is the DPS. Which you normally would pressure. I mean, it's the back line. You go to the back line, you take them out. You go for the support, you go for the range. That's usually the option to go for because the melee is usually too tanky to do quickly enough to make it worth your while.
Plish set up some bait and went plishing, which is like fishing but with a P. Clarinet. The second there attempts to be a focus on him, Plish is there playing defense. He's got the end caps. They have the shutdown on that Thorn.
And that's exactly what they need. And Plish, we've seen Freya's in general this round before, like doing a very good job with the double hammer. And Plish is no exception to that.
They've got the recommit as well, finding big damage onto the Thorn this time.
And that Thorn is finding as much pressure as they can back on Flish. I mean, they're being a bit of a hard time, but that Thunderstrike is ready. Should be out any second now.
Lightning Strike. Just waiting. They've just seen both casts of Hop. Natty will eat the full damage. He's got the Barbed Husk. Infernal Scourge comes through in the meantime. Puma eating a Fair Badge as well. There's the Ancestral Spirit for not just one, but it looks like nearly 2 kills. Dead Roots will be deployed, but the other side is already available, and Natty is hard split, meaning there's no way for him to stay alive in the midst of all this.
And Lobster just spent Burrow again, so there's nothing. The orb is open. The teams are split, and the game again. Plish will go Army, taking it 2-1.
A good fight.
Excellently done by them.
Yeah, and I just like the way the Twitch chat's going. They have that was one person is translating it. It's like they said before at the beginning of round, at the end of round 1, where we saw the win from Cinna Bro, that this round backs up their statement. The most recent thing. And there goes the statement.
No longer backs up that statement.
No longer backs up. No, it's
status report. We've done some analysis.
Political
and
Army is that
look
good.
like this is a free win.
No, Political Army is that good. They're fighting for it, and they're doing a damn good job too.
Flesh is just bathing in Freya shields right now.
I mean, that's what you do as Freya. You get in there, you throw in a shield. They have the rights for it too, so you might as well just not take permanent damage.
Thunderstrike on Orb isn't necessary, but is good zoning. Lobster doesn't get anywhere near it.
And with that, though, Lobster does get in-capped, and that's exactly the thing. Lobster's getting the in-cap. Lobster's trading with Plish and not getting much value for it. And Plish, have they taken any permanent damage this round?
Infernal Scourge was wasted. Barbed Husk used excellently defensively. We're inside the spawn of Cinna Bro right now, and it's working out. Thunderstrike comes through. However, Frozen Galler combo with the Dance of the Dryads will finally find that permanent damage. Plish is very low. They do get Orb. His HP's back at a decent amount, but that is much lower than it was moments ago.
Certainly is, but the use of the shards and the orb is still effective, and that means Plish gets back into center. And that means KJP is also ready for the ults.
Lightning Strike won't be available just yet. Infernal Scorch is. There's the Burrow, so Infernal Scorch should be spent. Barbed Husk is deployed. Ice Block as well. It's not enough, though. He eats all the damage through it, and that Thorn is now a bundle of sticks at best. You do have to Dance to the Dryads coming through, but other side's there to keep Plish up, and he comes out of the other side with a vengeance. Full HP on Clarinet, meaning he can bathe in the damage for a moment, allow the rest of his team to reset, and they do. 3-1 in favor of Plish is going to Army.
I mean, good job there, Plish going to Army, really taking that kill. But I was more impressed by how much defensive came out there. I mean, we had the Barbed Husk for Ringost, of course, he'd go for that. And then we also followed that up with Natty just drop, or rather with the Ice Block to stop the Thunderstrike. So you have the Barbed Husk stopping the Infernal Scorch, the Ice Block stopping the Electric Strike, and that Natty coming in with the Forest Sanctuary just to make sure that the follow-up damage didn't find home. Lobster Rifle still went down, but man, their team was really committed to keeping them alive that entire time, and I'm impressed by that.
Very good defense. Once again, proof that Cinna Bro are a very good team. It's not enough.
No, and at this point, though, it looks like Lobster Lifer managing to get a bit more control until that Spirit Rift.
That Spirit Rift breaks everything as Lobster Lifer is hard separation from the rest of his team.
That being said, Splish as well being quite separated, and more importantly, Clarinet having a bit of a tough time again, but they are still in control of their opponent's position.
They get the orb, but that undoes a lot of the damage they've taken. They need to trade well. Plish does it with the Thunderstrike. Infernal Scorch combo. They only land one of those two ultimates, but that might just be enough as the in-caps follow. Clarinet's playing aggro in the meantime to scare Lobster like back. Natty very, very low. Same can be said for Puma, who's indeed even lower. One hit on either of them, or both of them, will find the kills.
Clarinet, though, I mean, we're just Clarinet completely dominating Lobster Lifer. Lobster Lifer couldn't do anything. Clarinet just kept going in there. Kept going in with the Spirit Rifts and Soul Drains and making it impossible for Lobster Lifer to find anything. And I should point out, too, Clarinet does not have the right that resets Spirit Rift when they use the Spirit Guide. So those Spirit Rifts are purely off cooldown, and they were just getting them every time, and absolutely amazing play against Lobster Lifer to make sure Lobster Lifer could not win that 1v1. How often do you see a Paloma win essentially melee range 1v1 against a Thorn or any melee? Clarinet is next level.
He's just been nuts today.
Absolutely. And we're seeing, again, Clarinet just with Plish on that frontline support.
Yeah, Plish playing aggro, hard charging Puma, but it doesn't matter because he's got a ton of backup. He's got the orb. Infernal Scourge is already available. And Ashka just waiting for the right opportunity. They've just seen the Barb Tusk, so it can be deployed as soon as the burrow is spent, and it is. Thunderstrike will come through. Burst Infernal Scourge to follow. Ice Block is used, but Lobster Life is bathing in the fire. And well, we all know Grass type and Fire type, there's an obvious winner.
Yeah, it is super effective, and with that, Lobster Lifer is very nearly dead. We should see the Lightning on that as well, and I mean, Lightning is, it's even, deals standard damage, but that's all it needs. And that
Frozen
is...
Gallery will find a trade. Puma, maybe. No.
No.
Not at all.
Plish
5-1. 5-1 and 2-1. Plish is going to the army. Are your victors of the Battlerite Asia tournament number 6.
So hey, congratulations, Plish Go Army. Congratulations, Plish in particular, for winning the last Battlerite Asia tournament you'll likely be able to do for a while. Good job there. It's definitely, you know, you're in the army, but man, that is going to be, well, that's going to suck. I mean, I'm sorry.
Solid sugarcoating.
But man, good job though. I mean, really,
I think I
good memory to bring in with you to boot camp. You beat this tournament. So on Tuesday, you're going to be getting in the boot camp and going to be getting the drill sergeant just breathing down your neck. But you know, in your heart of hearts,
you're going to say
you are the best Battlerite player in Korea.
I'm the best Battlerite player in Asia. You don't get to. I'm the real deal. I think I speak for all of us, including my less verbose co-caster, when I say that we wish Plish the best, and it's a shame that the draft takes away his exemplary Battlerite play. However,
yes it does.
Plish was not the only player to show up today. Indeed, his entire team did quite well, and I look forward to seeing the rest of them in future tournaments, as well as their opponents. Like you said earlier, Cinna Bro did quite well to get to this final, and they certainly looked good in it. So I think closing off this cast, I'd like to, because I know you've been doing the Asian tournaments on a fairly regular basis, semi-regular. I didn't. I've been incredibly busy. It's a miracle I got to do this. I was supposed to be on a plane today, but then they bumped back the flights so I can do it. But anyway, what's important to me, having just gotten like a peek in after a few months of Asian scene development, is this is a much stronger scene than I remember. These teams are playing much better than I remember. And I can't wait to see the Asian region continue to develop both through the BPL play-in, which I know has a LAN qualifier in Korea, I believe, and otherwise, just as the scene develops, I think you absolutely can see these teams being on par with North America and Europe given time.
On par, but very different. Their style does not line up with either the Fortress style of Europe or the highly aggressive rushdown combo basis of North America. It's kind of in between, and I like that. I'm really looking forward to how that works out in the BPL.
Mm-hmm. We will find out. For now, though, thank you so much for watching. Of course, my name is TJ. You can find me, if you like to, on the internet at esportstj Dominic. It's available at Dominic Casts, twitch.tv/Dominic Casts as well. If you would like to join in on the Battlerite Asia community, I would highly suggest you drop on down. There's a little Discord link right below the stream, and you can click on that or copy-paste it into your browser of choice. And boom, you have a Discord full of Asian Battlerite players, which is good if you too are an Asian Battlerite player. Or maybe you're not an Asian Battlerite player, but you wish you were. And then you can sit in their Discord server and watch them talk about what fun they're having being Asian Battlerite players, which is what I do.
Because you're also an Asian Battlerite player?
No, I wish I was.
I see. Okay, that makes more sense. See, I was slightly surprised there. I was thinking, but you're not an Asian Battlerite player. But you can still join, even if you're not an Asian Battlerite player. Just, your ping will be a little high.
Yes. Thank you, though, for watching. I hope you had a great time. It is 1:17 a.m. according to the clock on stream, and that sounds about right. So I'm going to go to sleep. Dominic will join me. Not in the same place. In different places.
No, we're 3,000 kilometers away. And I mean, TJ, you're a great guy. but I
Right.
gotta disappoint you there.
Damn. Well, for now, though, thank you so much for watching, and have a great evening.